Good morning and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us for another episode of the Winner's Circle. We're here bright and early on Saturday morning. It is April 5th, 7 a.m. over here on the West Coast, 10 a.m. over there on the East Coast where Miss Anika is at. How you doing this morning, Miss Anika?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. After that, I'm ready to talk some wrestling. Yeah. So as usual here on Winner's Circle, we are down to person today, but as always, we review Monday Night Raw, NXT, and Dynamite. Mr. Sammy is off at a wedding, so hopefully he'll be with us tomorrow for our AEW Dynamite watch along, and he should be back next week as usual. But in the meantime, myself and Nika will hold it down. We'll share the duties on Raw, and then I'll do NXT, and she'll do Dynamite. So if you're new to Workhorse Wrestling Network, to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. It helps a lot. Hit the bell to be notified. That's the best way to make sure you get a notification every time we put something up on the YouTube channel. If you're with us on Twitch this morning, give us a follow over there. Thanks for watching on Twitch. Unfortunately, we can't see your comments here in Restream on Twitch. So you come over to YouTube, you can interact with us in a live chat. If you're here with us, chime in. Let us know what you got going on this morning. Let us know what you thought about this week in wrestling. Anything you want to talk about, all those things, comments, whatever. Love to interact with you. The best part of us is you guys. So if you're here, chime in, please. So without further ado, I guess as it takes us long enough every week anyhow, we might as well crack in and start with Monday Night Raw from March 31st, this Monday, the last day of the month.
And the last show of the European tour.
Last show of the European tour, the O2 Arena in London, England. So
Cheerio.
big arena, big show. Pip pip cheerio. That's right. As we've talked about, I do think it's a little bit different with depending on where you go because the O2 Arena's had its fair amount of shows, right? And London and England in general has had its fair amount of wrestling. Plus, I'm not overly familiar with a lot of countries, what they do for their wrestling, but England has been one of the other countries where, if you're a wrestling fan, there's Japan, there's the US, and then there's England, right? Rev Pro's been around for a long time. There's been a lot of guys that have come from England that have been, great wrestlers and very popular in the States throughout the years. So all those things. So, wrestling isn't new to London or England, but needless to say, as usual, as they have been, especially on this tour, the crowd was very active. We talked about that a lot. I know you're happy to have them back in the U.S. and it's like, hey, don't badmouth U.S. crowds too much, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a difference, especially. And we talked about it. I do believe, and I don't pay tons of attention, but when it's obvious enough that it catches my attention, that's when I know the crowd is really good. And I still think the Brussels is the best crowd that we've had on Raw since this year. So since it's gone to Netflix that I can think of. So. London was there. London was live. London was loud. And here came John Cena. Comes out to his. It's still his same music, but now it says Cena sucks. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so after we attacked Cody Rhodes, the very next Raw, wasn't his music different?
No. It was John Cena. It was the John Cena song the whole time.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it sounded different that very first Raw afterwards. It didn't. For some reason, I thought it, yeah. But needless to say, he came down to the ring, and before he got a chance to actually say anything, here comes Cody Rhodes.
Adrenaline in my soul.
Cody gets in the ring and starts to talk about all the things you can talk about me. You can. You supposedly the internet is saying that you cooked me, that you buried me in the past. These last couple, promo whatever, face-off promo battles, whatever you want to call them, and you can say whatever you want to about me. Go ahead and get it in. You can talk about my little list.
All out the system.
You can talk about Stardust. And what was the last thing? I'm drawing a blank right now. You can talk about my bad tattoo. My tattoo, the tattoo that belongs in my arm that's on my neck.
Yeah.
What did John Cena say back? Do you remember? I'm trying to
So
remember.
so he just went in, and so I think Cody ended with go ahead and bury me, and Johnson was like, I don't bury talent. I bury mediocrity. And it's like, hold on, wait, time out. The one we don't talk about, you bury was Nexus. And you got Wade Barrett in the front because yes, we're in London, so let's have Wade Barrett for the last time. It's like, bruh, you like that was a side note. Like, Dad, go there. I got strange for no reason, and then come out. And so yeah,
There's a lot of wrestlers over the years that have gotten, hung with the kind of the rep of not wanting to put guys over, burying, other talent, all those kinds of things. There was definitely a period of time where John Cena didn't lose. There's no doubt about that. And I don't know how much of that was Vince and WWE backstage. I don't know how much of that was John's ego. I have no idea. I mean, I still debate whether, I guess to a certain extent he did, but I still debate whether he even buried Nexus. Like, I never had the feeling John Cena was out there to bury people like that. There were other guys where, like, you had that feeling about, or you could see that happening with him. I just never had that feeling. To be fair, I was a John Cena guy back then. So, maybe I was a little biased at the time. Maybe I have to go back and watch some of it again. But, like, so, that comment, that John Cena buries talent, that narrative is definitely something that's been out there and prevalent. So I thought this comment was perfect. I like that comment and that response.
so the thing about John Cena in general, right? When you get to big megastar status, you have leeway on what should happen. And I just really think John Cena never knew how to put people over. I think he truly thought, hey, if you're on TV and you beat me up once, you're over. And it's like, no, it's about when you're facing them in promo battles, when you're actually on pay-per-views, are they beating you, not just on television? It's a whole thing. And it feels like John Cena just didn't know how to do the whole thing. I truly believe that. More so with promo battles, it's like, sir, you can't go that hard. You can't. You can't. It's about, well, and probably in his mindset is, well, they're not good. Like, no, you're going really hard on people. No offense, for no good reason. And it's like, and some people, yes, if they're to the level of The Rock or Stone Cold or who's around that day, even Edge, it's like, okay, they can take it. But if you're up and coming and this is their first time going at it, no, you cannot go that hard on the mic, and this is their first time coming up, and this is not their strength. No, you can't do that.
Yeah. The reality is that you also can't just kind of throw your hands up and be like, oh, well, that's what they wanted to do. Like, I have no idea what goes on backstage. I have no idea what was ever said between Vince and Cena or any of that stuff. But, you can't just say, oh, it's the booking. Well, Vince just decides what to do and I just go over all the time. I mean, you have a voice. You could say, I don't think I need to win here, or this guy's got a really bright future, I want to put him over. You can say stuff. I mean, sure, maybe Vince didn't elicit a lot of room for comment and all those kinds of things, and maybe if you did, it was whatever, but you still have a voice, especially if you're John Cena and you're a megastar. So I'm not trying to put it all in his lap by any stretch of the imagination. You're an employee, you kind of do what your boss tells you to do, you do what the creative says to do. At the same time, I do think that once you get to a certain point, you probably have a little bit of say, and you could say to him, hey, this isn't good for the business, maybe this isn't good for the storyline, maybe this isn't good for me, all those kinds of things, so I don't know. So there's a lot of blame to go around as far as John Cena's booking and being 16-time champion and all those kinds of things. So then we have the unavoidable. We have the moment that is absolutely 100% unavoidable in every storyline where they have promo battles. At some point, someone has to mention how they rode the road together. And John Cena says, me and Cody, rode the road together. He stood at my side. He learned the John Cena, method, took everything he needed from me. And now he thinks he has the tools to run the kingdom. And it's okay. So Cena hates.
Side note, yeah, come on. You know, I hear like evidently someone's been listening to Cody's theme song. Very good, good job, John. Good job.
Cena hates seeing a pathetic nepo baby carrying the title. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else of any consequence that you actually want to mention line for line wise or line wise?
And then he was like, "You're just," and then he was like, you don't even know who you are. You have a suit on, you have your blonde hair. It's like you're just you just a put together of other wrestlers trying to get yourself over. And he's like, and I try to tell you, be authentic, but you didn't want to listen. And it's like, dang, all right, fine, all right, let's go. It really at this point in time, it's like I said, the reason why we hated Cena is like you did it with people who didn't who couldn't stand toe to toe with you because they just got into the ring, right? With Cody, it's like, listen, like we know you can go toe to toe. So the floor is now yours. So yeah, I got a little excited.
So basically the last thing so Cena goes to leave and Cody says, the one thing the fans never said about me is that he can't wrestle. And that touched the nerve for John Cena. John Cena turns around and comes back into the ring and they kind of face off a little bit. And then Cena smirks and turns like he's going to walk away. Then tries to come back. Oh, what?
We got because like I said, Cody didn't get cooked. Cody has some good lines too. And so so before they faced off and got a little physical, Cody's comeback was like, "Don't act like you cleaned your room before you left. But you made a situation where I actually had opportunity to leave and become my own person and come back and become world heavyweight champion." That was probably the best Cody line. Don't act like you cleaned your room before you left. No, things were not good when you left. Things still sucked, and and someone had to take over. You do remember any other good? Yeah, and then the Cody, like the last little jab at Cena, you can't wrestle. It really was like, I want the last word, and it's like it felt that's what it felt like. It's like it's fine. You could have done
Cody
better.
Said, "John, you're still my hero, but you're also a piece of shit."
Yeah, I like it. I want to say I don't want to say it was like one more. And so, no. And then, John, that was one more line. John Cena was like, "I create I steal from.
I make empires for billionaires. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids."
Like, sir, John, Emmanuel, Cena, you talking about someone taking money from the kids? That stupid spinner belt money, them stupid clothes money. Are we really talking about going bout for bout of who was really stealing from kids? Come on
now. So I think So then Cena tried to leave. Cody made the comment about they never told me that I couldn't wrestle. That Cena comes back in. They kind of go like they're going to start to fight. Cena then smirks and turns like he's going to walk away. And then he tries to turn around and hit Cody with the right hand. He misses essentially, and Cody grabs him and gives him a crossroads.
And he just died.
This is the exact 1000% thing I was talking about. There is nothing wrong with Cena. He's not even really off balance when he misses that punch. But he just gets held by Cody in that position and does nothing while Cody waits, looks at the crowd, counts to 5, and then hits the crossroads. It's like, come on. Like, there's no reason for Cena to take that move at that point. Like, you have movement, you can move, you're alert enough to move. You should have done something. Like, and that's the problem with that move. They do that too often, whether it's Sister Abigail, whether it's the crossroads, whether it's whatever you want to call it. Everyone that does that move, they do it when people are not stunned enough, and it just doesn't hold water for me. It just doesn't.
I was going to bring it up. There are definitely a lot of variations of that move. Sister Abigail is the best, so at least it's like it's quicker. It's like I got you in my lap. I'm gonna put you. I'm gonna slam your head. And like, I literally every time Cody, the first time I saw Cody do the crop, I'm like, what kind of setup? This looks so convoluted. That's just me. It does. But then, like after he does it, Cena just died. He just landed like
right?
just statue.
I mean, it'd be one thing if he punched Cena first or kicked him a couple times. It's my same argument with the roll up. Like the roll up only works if the guy is, hurt or stunned or something. Otherwise, why are you going to be, like it just so. But whatever, that's wrestling. Some of that I try to remind myself when I'm watching it in the moment, and I find myself like, oh, that kind of sucked. I try to remind myself that's part of what I'm supposed to like about it too, is the corniness, some of the campiness. Wrestling isn't necessarily supposed to be as serious as maybe I take it all the time, right? I mean, it's supposed to be kind of over the top and silly at times too. So, I guess it is what it is. But let's see. So I thought it was a good segment for me personally. This was the best Cody John Cena segment I thought that they've had so far since since he turned on Cody with the Rock in the ring that night. So yeah, I mean, if they continue to be at this level, then great. But I guess Cena's going to be gone now for a couple weeks. Weren't you saying last night that Cena won't be around for the next couple weeks?
So there's what's the word? There is no predicted date. He's not. There we go. That's the word. He's not scheduled until WrestleMania. I highly doubt he's not going to be like he's not going to make one last appearance. Like at least even the Go Home show. I highly doubt that. But as of right now, there's nothing scheduled for John Cena. So it really is. They definitely had to
the last 3 weeks had been scheduled for him. I mean, is that the difference? Is that why it's a major? I mean, is that why it's a talking point? Like,
yeah, definitely. Like, definitely, retirement tour. It's like, okay, these are confirmed dates of this week's Cena. And then, side note, WrestleMania, we have 2 more Raws to go.
Yeah, 2 more. There were 3 before this one, so there's 2 more now.
Yeah, but yeah, I really doubt that he doesn't make it to the Go Home show. That would be. I don't see how you don't do the Go Home show without Cena. You might do it. It could work with The Rock, but I really don't want to see The Rock right now. Like, no offense. Like we like it feels like we should have seen The Rock the day after Elimination Chamber when we did it. So it's like, now we don't need you. What the frick are you gonna say? What are you gonna come and say?
Yeah, no doubt. And the reality is that, like I said, this was the best of the bunch so far. So like, if they find another way to continue to hype the match up over the next 2 weeks without necessarily having to do this again, and maybe do something that was less because this is the best one so far, then I'm fine with that. I mean, if they kind of walk away from the whole in-ring promo face-off battle with this one being the final one, I mean, it was solid and it was good, so it was the best of the bunch. So I'd be happy with that. If Cody does a promo next week and then they have a video package, or Cena does a promo and they have a video package, something like that, I mean, enough, just to keep us interested in the match and whatever, but without having to do, if indeed he's not going to be here for 2 weeks, I'm not necessarily disappointed with that because they've done this now 3 weeks in a row. I don't need to see it a 4th week and a 5th week in a row, if that, you know what I mean? So not the same basic in-ring stuff. Now, to be fair, like I said, this was the best one. So in theory, they're building up, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that the next one would be better than this last one. So, the first 2 left me wanting a lot, and I was like, I don't want a 3rd one. They gave us a 3rd one. It happened to be really, really good. But I still don't have confidence that a 4th one would be really good. And at this point, even if it is, I don't necessarily want to see it. So, I mean, it'd be nice to see if they stay away from each other a little bit until WrestleMania starts now. They can do their own little promos and do whatever. But yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
We get a video package. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Was there something else you wanted to say about it in general?
No, I totally agree with you. Just a matter of how I think Cody needs a match. Like, I definitely don't want to see Cody talk no more. This was a whole, even though this is the best of 3, there's a lot of talking to build up WrestleMania. I need to see a match.
It is. I mean, and I get it. You have a major event like Cena turning heel. So you want to give it time to breathe. You need explanation. You need, whatever. But at the same time, it was very long-winded. It was a lot of explanation. It was a lot of exposition. I mean, we don't need a lot of what he said was redundant over and over. I mean, you're basically saying the same thing over and over again. So I mean, we get it and we understand. You have technically a valid kayfabe argument. Depending on how you're really feeling internally. Um, but you don't need to say it, for 20 minutes, 3 weeks in a row.
Yes.
In 10 different ways. Like, so yeah. I mean, it was definitely getting over. They were burying a dead horse. Let's put it that way. I mean, it was getting to be a little much, piling on. So hopefully they move away from it for a little bit and we get some other kind of something to um, boost the match for WrestleMania, whatever that is.
Yes.
Maybe a Cody Rhodes match. I mean, he hasn't had a match now since Elimination Chamber, right?
That hurt. Yeah.
So I mean, he could defend the title between now and WrestleMania one of these weeks, and instead of this promo battle with John Cena. So we get a video package on Rhea and Io, who are going to be in your main event for the Women's World Championship with Bianca Belair as special guest referee. Then we get the New Day coming out from match, and they got surprise opponents. And it is. You want to tell them, Anika, who it was?
Big strong boy.
Big strong boy. That's right.
Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Welcome back, boo boo.
Right, New Catch Republic. I mean, we've seen Pete Dunne. Obviously, he's been around, but Tyler Bate has been gone for a minute. I don't know what it was. I don't know, visa issues or I don't know what it was, but
he got hurt.
Okay, I was gonna say he's been gone for a while, so maybe it was a combination of things. But Anika says he was hurt, so happy that he's recovered and back. I'm a huge Tyler Bate fan. The only thing I need now is Trent Seven. But no, I'm a huge Tyler Bate fan. So him and Pete Dunne together. I hope that they see the value in them as a tag team. And I don't want to say that they were treading water with Pete Dunne, but maybe there was a thought, we'll just wait for Tyler Bate to come back and we can have these guys as the tag team, which is where we think their sweet spot is for WWE. For me, that's a little disappointing because I think both guys are extremely talented and should be, major, if not, bottom level main eventers, definitely top of the mid card pile performers all the time. So, I mean, they should be around the Intercontinental Championship and the North American title. Both of them are good enough singles wrestlers to do that. As a tag team, they're one of my favorite tag teams. So, seeing them back together again and against heel New Day, which right now is one of my favorite tag teams, I was extremely ecstatic for this. And I thought the match itself was really good. What did you think about the match and the whole thing?
It was good. It was like echo everything you just said. I miss Tyler Bate as well. I love the little he got him on his shoulders, little airplane ride. I'm like, oh, look at y'all doing it together. Yeah, very decent match. This was kind of weird because this is Tyler Bates' welcome back match, but it's on the road to WrestleMania. So New Day had to win. So it's like, are you kidding me? You could have had him compete against on one hand, we're going against New Day. So great match for New Czech Republic that's what it's called. Yes.
New Czech Republic. Yeah.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it's like, you could have done a match beforehand. Like, I don't know because we got 3 more weeks, right? So it is a catch-22, unfortunately. New Day won, and rightfully so, because we definitely needed them to be at WrestleMania, especially when they had the great heel turn in November. And then and then after the match, I love this. Kathy Kelly interviews them on the ramp. I love this interview style. And so New Day was like, listen, we just proved that we deserve a shot at those tag team titles. War Raiders come out, hold the championships high. I don't think they're definitely gonna, I'm not sure what's gonna, so sorry, use your words. So we know on SmackDown that is going to be, as of right now, Street Profits versus Motor Machine Guns. Even though it's not a tradition, I do love the multi-man tag team match for the titles, right? So I'm wondering how I feel if they make it official, where it's just New Day versus War Raiders. I would love another team to be in there, but on the Raw side, there's definitely another team in there. So this probably is the match for Mania. which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at processing my thoughts. I'm not mad at that. I'm not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not mad at War Raiders versus New Day. I mean, I think it should be fun at WrestleMania for the titles. New Day has definitely done the work to probably deserve to get a title shot, definitely. And even when they're going and they're together and everything, the New Day, heel or not, is one of the your better and most popular tag teams in WWE. So they need
Yes.
to be hovering around the titles all the time. Anyhow, I know that I know I'm critical on recycling and people having multiple title runs and all those things at the same time. Like, if you're going to run your company where you only have some teams hovering around the titles, they need to be one of the teams that's hovering around the titles. So,
Yeah.
this is the right spot for them. And honestly, like, I like the War Raiders, but in my mind, there's really on paper, there's really nowhere where I see the War Raiders beating New Day, just in a big match and a big, and they very well might. I'm not saying they won't. I always talk about what feels like levels to this in my mind. And even though the War Raiders are doing good work and they're solid, I still feel like New Day is, a couple levels above them just in general, all the time. So in that regard, it'll be interesting to see how it worked out. I'm disappointed Pete Dunne took the pin here, but obviously Tyler Bate is fresh back. You're not going to you're
Right.
not going to make him take the pin. And like
Yeah.
you said, New Day has to win here because they're the ones that have the momentum going into WrestleMania and getting the title shot. I hope that now that Tyler Bate is hopefully back, that they actually allow New Catch Republic to get some wins and warm up and do some stuff in the tag team division. I don't want to see him just take losses. At the same time, it
Yeah.
is fun to see them back. So
Yeah.
post
No.
match, go ahead.
No. It feels like we didn't know the pieces of the chessboard before Mania. And I say that to say November, when they did the heel turn, right? We discussed this. And it was like, okay, what do they do? Well, they should be tag team champions. Well, who's tag team champions? It was Judgment Day. And it's like two heels. That's not right. So we put it on War Raiders. Okay, cool. That's it. We gotta have a decent run. And it's like, you don't think it's a long time, but it is a very long time between November and April.
Yeah.
On one hand, maybe you let them win the belts at Netflix, but it's like on the other hand, you don't want to discredit War Raiders like that. So it really is like, dang it, if the New Day anniversary was just like in January or November, this would have been a very better told. This would have been a much better told story than we got.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Post match, New Day says they want a title shot. So here are the War Raiders to say, come and get it. So that's pretty much etched in stone. My guess is that'll probably be night one. But who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out. But it does look like we're getting New Day versus War Raiders for the tag team championships at WrestleMania.
I'm cool with it.
We got Jimmy and Jey Uso backstage hyping each other up.
Let's go.
Jay's hyping Jimmy up for his match tonight, or his match coming up next against Gunther. And Jimmy's continuing to try to keep Jay in the right spirits for his ultimate match at WrestleMania in a few weeks away, only a few weeks away. So that leads to our first match of the night. You want to tell them about it, Anika?
So last week, Jimmy was like, I got you, brother. I would show you that Gunther is just a man. He's beatable. That's why you have this match right now. So we got Jimmy versus Gunther. Of course, Jimmy tried to get the jump on him, but it's Gunther, so he's just getting pulverized. A couple of beats downs. Jimmy has one little leg up. He does the tope suicida. That was fine, but that wasn't enough. Gunther just beating the crap out of him, and he goes into a chokehold. And Gunther, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a chokehold, right? And Jimmy tapped out,
passed out,
and it's like 1, 2, 3, like Gunther for the win. But Gunther is like, I'm not letting go. Here comes New Day down since day one-ish. Here comes Jay to run off Gunther. Okay, Jay saves the day, right? Go to commercial break. Come back from commercial break. We see Jay. We see Jay helping Jimmy, but here comes Gunther out of nowhere, attacking both of them, and so he puts Jimmy in the ring, and then he zip ties Jay to the ring ropes while he just beats the freaking crap out of Jimmy. It's so freaking wrong. He's beating the crap out of him. At one time, not sure how it happened, but Jimmy starts bleeding, and it's all over Gunther, and this sick, twisted bastard gonna lick it, and you're like, nope, not good enough. Spits it out. Like, sir, what the hell is wrong with you? Jay's going butt crack crazy. I will be too if that's my sister in the ring. At one point in time, Jimmy's just lying there motionless. Jimmy's lying there motionless. Jay tries to pull him by the ankle towards him, but no, Gunther just gets him and chokes him out. And he's still like, stop it. And Jay's just like, stop it. And we were all with you. Stop it, Gunther. Stop it. And he's just like, stop. And Jay's just inches away, but he's zip tied and he can't get his freaking through. And then afterward, Gunther just stands up and holds a belt over his head with blood just all over his chest and legs and crap. Dang!
Yeah. No, I mean, there was a lot to unpack here. The match itself, I thought was okay. I mean, I was a little disappointed that Jimmy didn't look a little bit better. I thought that it was kind of an extended squash in some regards. It was definitely a Gunther showcase. And I understand, you want to try to, you're trying to reestablish Gunther as a big monster before WrestleMania because he's kind of, I think that's kind of, that mystique has fallen off a little bit. So they wanted to definitely warm that back up. At the same time, you got to remember that the Usos are they're a Hall of Fame caliber. They are Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers when the time comes around. They're one of your most decorated tag teams in history, and there seems to be this idea that if you're a successful tag team wrestler, that when you get in the ring to wrestle singles, you just forget how to do what you've been doing your whole life, and that's just not true. Now, to be fair, there are some guys that operate better in the tag team situation. At the same time, all these guys, whether you're a tag team guy or a singles guy, you all know how to wrestle, right? 99% of the time, maybe in this situation, because they're actual twin brothers in real life, maybe in this situation, you've been coming up with your brother the whole time and done more tag team work than singles work. But the reality is that 99% of these guys started wrestling on their own. They were all singles wrestlers to begin with. They may have met a guy along the way that became their partner for a long time, all those things, whatever, like tag team wrestling better. But the idea that all of a sudden Jimmy Uso is going to get in the ring with Gunther and he's alone and can't remember how to wrestle, to me, is kind of nonsense. So, the reality is that he is a very good wrestler. He has been one of your better wrestlers in the past in the tag team division, and he should be able to hold his own a little bit more, especially when over the years there's been kind of this idea that he's maybe a little bit better than Jay. And so if Jimmy's going to get squashed by Gunther, kind of, well, what does that mean for Jay? And I understand you're trying to hype that up. You're trying to make Jay feel like even a bigger underdog. I just thought they should have given Jimmy a little bit more offense. It should have been a little bit less one-sided. That being said, the post-match stuff I thought was amazing. This was everything we needed from Gunther again, right? He handcuffed Jay to the ropes. He choked out Jimmy right in front of him with Jimmy's blood all on his face, screaming, "Help your brother," at Jay. I mean, you want your heel champion, and Gunther is definitely a heel, to be as big a heel as he possibly can. And we haven't seen necessarily this side from, well, we might not have seen this side from Gunther maybe ever, like this extreme, but we haven't seen kind of that monster angry Gunther in a while. It's been kind of stoic, almost kind of like, he's been put over the time. My computer?
I can still hear you.
Okay. He was pushed to the limit several times in some of his defenses where maybe we thought it was going to be more kind of like this match against Jimmy, and it wasn't. And so you really did need to kind of do this. At the same time, I'm so torn because in the moment when it was happening, I said to myself, "Oh shit, Jay's in trouble." I mean, they're doing this to show you exactly why Jay's not going to win, how good Gunther actually is. And then as it was over and done with, and the show went on, and I started thinking about it, and the show went off, and I was processing it. I'm thinking to myself, maybe they're actually doing this because Jay's going to win. I mean, maybe the more they make Gunther look bigger and badder, the more over the win for Jay becomes. And maybe that's an indication that Jay's more likely to win. I don't know. Maybe it's not an indication either way, but I was trying to interpret whether it was indicating either way what I thought creative was planning backstage. But I love this. I thought this was perfect. I thought Gunther looked like the monster he's supposed to be. I'm happy to see him actually be violent and sadistic because that's how he's supposed to be. That's how you booked him, and he hasn't been for a while, and he's never really been this sadistic ever before. So no, I like this a lot.
So no, totally agree with you. As of right now, I feel like they didn't know how to angle this story. They didn't know, like at one point it's like, okay, can you beat Gunther? It's like yes, no, maybe, and it's like that's kind of working, but we don't have the right people for Jay to compete against to get ready for Gunther. No offense, he was all the matches leading up to WrestleMania for Jay have been with mid carders, unfortunately. So that's not really the caliber of a World Heavyweight Championship match, right? And it's like, all right, so I guess. And then the last time he went up against Austin Theory, he botched, and it's like, daggone it, this is not what's going on. I'm not sure who had the idea of inserting Jimmy, but that's it. Now we're cooking with some gas. Now we got a storyline. It's like, okay, bump the whole "Are you good enough to beat Gunther?" You got to beat this man now for your brother. It's like no. Now, and in the words of Jay when he went up against Roman in SummerSlam, now I got to hurt you. Now I got to get you, and now I got to whip you and beat you for the freaking title. I got to beat you behind first. And it's like, now, like let's stay the course. Let's stay the course. This is the story. I gotta beat your behind for my brother, and it's so simple, but it's always effective. I know sometimes you want to deviate. Don't deviate. Me beating your behind for my family will always hit. Always.
No, I mean, I think this made me definitely more invested in the match for sure. I do think that the story was, I don't want to say floundering, but bringing Jimmy in, like you said, definitely took it up to another level, put a lot more meat on the bone, and it's raised my interest. I mean, I was already interested, but it's raised. I'm already interested. I was already interested because in comparison to Cena and Cody, I actually like both of these guys.
Yeah.
And so I'm invested and want to see them. I don't really care about Cena and Cody, so that doesn't do anything for me. I care because I'm interested to see how it plays out, and it's the World Championship, so I'm curious to see what happens. But I don't have any kind of vested interest in Cena versus Cody. Where this I do. I like both Jay and I love Gunther, so they did their job in this situation. So. We get a recap of CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins' contract signing for WrestleMania with the announcement that match is closing the show, making CM Punk a WrestleMania main eventer for the first time in his wrestling career.
And side note, we know what the favor is. Bro!
We do know what the favor is. Do you want to tell them? You want to tell people what the favor is?
CM Punk took back his wise man for the going to WrestleMania. Paul Heyman will be in the corner of CM Punk, not in the corner of the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Oh my
God! So last night on, just like Anika likes to say, put in a little bit of context. Last night on SmackDown, all three men are in the ring, and Roman anxiously is awaiting. He wants to know what the favor is. CM Punk gets right in his face, tells him what the favor is. I want Paul Heyman in my corner. I want your wise man. And Roman says, go ahead, Paul. Tell him it's not going to happen. He starts laughing. Go ahead, Paul. Tell him it's not going to happen. Tell him it's not going to happen.
No.
And Paul ultimately
Are you
says, I
crying?
can't.
I'm like, yeah.
Tell
I'm
him
like,
it's not going to happen. I am going to be ultimately in his corner. And Roman Reigns is very unhappy about it. So that was the favor. We talked a lot. Well, I don't know if we talked a lot about it, but we did talk about it last night on Friday Night Fights when we were watching SmackDown. Since it's relevant to this segment on Raw, what did you think ultimately about the favor and the decision of Paul Heyman?
like I said, it feels like they didn't know what the favor would be. I thought it felt like this whole lead up to WrestleMania, it kind of feels like last year, but more so, whereas like we have plans, but until a certain Dwayne Johnson tells us yes or no, we can't put anything into effect. That's what it really feels like for this card. I say, at case in point, with the favor, if for some, like, I feel like if they knew the plans before time, they would have gotten the belt either off Cody or off Gunther. And I say that to say this: the favor would have been make more sense. It'd be like, okay, the favor is I face you for the belt, right? But no, there's no belt in this rivalry, which I am all here for. I do not mind. So like Roman, you do not need the belt. You are on that level of you are actually the attraction, not you being champ the attraction. So case in point, it's like, okay, so what else could the favor be if you didn't have the belt? It's cause no offense, it's not like Paul Heyman is working backstage or kayfabe. He has no power. The only power that Paul Heyman has is being the wise man to Roman. So like, what power do you have that could be the favor? And it's like, yo, this makes perfect sense, and it's emotional as hell because it's not just Paul not being in Roman's corner. He wise man is not just a nickname. He's the strategist. He actually helps Roman put out the plan on how to beat guys, you know? So it's like, oh, you're taking away the strategy from Roman, and depending on how much time they spend together, giving some strategy to Punk. So like it's a whole thing. And then Roman, this emotional crackhead, he keeps getting freaking turned on by people. But y'all realize want him to be a good. Y'all want him to do better. He can't do better. Everybody keeps kicking him in the head, in the back. I mean, keep hitting in the face, keep hitting him with chairs. This is an emotional person. That's why he keeps yelling at people and be tribal chief because people keep freaking turning their backs on him. That's why. And now Paul Heyman's can't be in this freaking corner. He'll be an emotional freaking mess. This is stupid. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of times managers, coaches, whatever it is, whatever you're talking about in athletic endeavors, get too much credit and take too much blame. That being said, I do believe that there is something to be said for the fact that Paul Heyman knows both of these men really, really well. Mm-hmm. And that, not that they don't know each other, not that they're not choreographing the match beforehand, but in a kayfabe world, he knows both of these men really well. And the fact that he's in Punk's corner means that he can give him all the inside stuff on Roman Reigns that maybe he didn't already have or know. And that not only is he able to give Punk information on Roman, but now Roman doesn't have his wise man to give him information on Punk, who obviously Paul Heyman knows very well. Now, the idea that obviously Heyman hasn't already told Roman everything or vice versa is probably, whatever. But that's, it definitely makes sense. And, the idea that, for me, like I said last night when we were watching this, the idea that there's three guys in it I don't really care about, and that I love Paul Heyman, putting him in it for me raises the stakes to a certain extent. I mean, I know it's not like they're competing for the love of Paul, but just putting him in the middle and making him have a vested interest in the feud makes it, first of all, there's more meat on the bone in the feud. And then, it just makes it it makes it better for me because now Paul's in it and Paul's so good. So.
Yep, totally agree.
What was next? You remember what was next? I think it was
Was this the
Finn
Yep, there you
Judgment
go.
Day before their match. Yeah. So Finn is backstage with Dominic and Carlito and Liv and Rhea in the little Judgment Day clubhouse. Finn's ready to go bring gold back to Judgment Day as they have a match coming up. Or he wants to bring gold back. He wants the Intercontinental Championship from Braun Breaker. This is all prior to their match that's up next, which is Judgment Day versus Braun and Penta. Dominic and Finn versus Braun and Penta. He's not pleased with Raquel because she lost that last week. You can see there's like a little animosity between Raquel and Finn. Finn and Dominic go to leave to go to the ring, and Carlito hangs out backstage a little bit, and the girls are like, "What are you still doing there? Get out of here." The only reason that I'm mentioning this, well, for two reasons. One is because it's right before the match that we're going to talk about, which is the second match of this Raw episode. I want to bring it up. I'm talking about because I want to bring up the fact that I'm so tired of the Judgment Day. Like, even when they were cooking with Rhea and Damian, I wasn't the biggest fan. Now you've lost two of your major anchors. You really, I mean, Dominic's great, but he's still not, you're not booking him in a way for him to be great. And Finn, you know, is Finn Balor, his reputation precedes him, but you have him taking so many losses and being booked so poorly recently that I just never believe he's ever going to win. So, there's nothing to Judgment Day anymore, in my opinion. I don't see Liv. I know they do because they keep putting the belt on her and putting her in big matches, but I don't see Liv Morgan as, a main eventer of the women's division long term ongoing. I just don't think she's that good, and definitely not Raquel. So, in my opinion, you kind of, and especially when JD's there and with Carlito there, you basically have what I think of as a stable of somewhat mid card guys. Maybe they're top of the mid card, but a couple of them probably bottom of the main event. Finn Balor touches the main event picture a little bit, as Liv touches it a lot. But I'm so tired of the Judgment Day. I mean, I was bored with them when they had Rhea and Damian, and then when they left, I thought, okay, this is going to be it. And now we just basically have them still doing the same thing, just minus Rhea and Damian. So I don't know. I really hope that they do something different here at some point, and the Judgment Day breaks up. And I don't know.
So yeah, so they have had their They've had their they are trying to divide the plan of how we're going to go for the Judgment Day, right? And side note, I actually love the pettiness between Finn and Liv when they go into the clubhouse. It's like, like that little dig at Raquel. It's like, sir, are you really sorry? Or are you just being petty as hell? Listen. I respect the petty, but let's call a spade, sir. You know you ain't right for that. But so I do love this. I feel like we kind of know where it's going or how we would like it to go. And I'm not mad at it where ultimately Dom takes control of the Judgment Day. I wouldn't mind that. If that's where we're going. And as of right now, where they're at is where they need to be. Like main event picture, they shouldn't be going for the World Heavyweight Championship. No offense. They should be let's start off with the IC title, and that should be enough. Like, all right, and let's see how we go from there. Because this 4-way is Braun, Penta, and Judgment Day. This is actually this could be a very good WrestleMania match. So I'm actually here for this. And what do we do after WrestleMania is a question. So like right now we're at a 6 on a hot scale. We're on a 6 for the Judgment Day. It's a 6. It's not hot, but it's not cold either. We just got to find out where we're going to go next.
I mean, if the goal is to have a fatal 4-way ultimately at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship, and two of your people are Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, with the goal that ultimately this continues to divide Judgment Day and pushes one out, either Finn or Dominic, or the ultimate split of Judgment Day, then I'm fine with that storyline. If that's not the ultimate direction, then I'd rather see somebody else in that spot than Dominic personally, or maybe even Finn. I mean, at this point, I'm not totally sure. You know, like I said, there's levels to this, and I think that Finn definitely in the past has been levels above Dominic. With the booking and the stuff, and I know his talent is still there as far as Finn goes, but he's also, probably more years are behind him than are in front of him. Where Dominic's definitely has still more years in front of him than behind him, and so if you're picking between those two, I mean, it seems to make more sense because Finn's been running his mouth about wanting to be Intercontinental Champion, that he's the one in the match, but I'm not totally sure. But I'd rather see a Pete Dunne or even, and as much as this is going to drive you crazy because I know that I've been super critical of him, I'd almost even rather see a Ludwig Kaiser, just because unless the goal is to split the Judgment Day, or at least have one of them leave because of what happens here, then I don't need to see the two of them basically work together to beat up on Braun and Penta to help the other one, and for Dominic to ultimately maybe help Finn win. Like that, I don't need to see. So, and I'm not sure if that's how it would play out per se, but I just, in my mind, I fear, and I don't want that to happen. So,
no, we're definitely
go ahead.
We're definitely on the same page. This should definitely be a breakup or a decision of who gets the belt, Dom or Finn. It should not be us helping each other out. It should definitely be that. I definitely agree with you on there.
So that brings us to the match. We did have a match with Dominic and Finn versus Penta and Braun. Ultimately, Finn gets the pin with the coup de grace, but it wasn't without help with Braun accidentally spearing Penta.
Dude!
It was definitely accidental. And Finn took advantage. Anika sounds like maybe it wasn't accidental. Like she thinks maybe it wasn't accidental. And to be fair, Braun has the reasoning to do it, right? I mean, Penta has been coming after his title. This is a can they coexist type of situation. And it was a little rough at times. And ultimately, they couldn't, I guess, coexist because Finn and Judgment Day got the win. I find it interesting, and I think it's simply because Finn's been the one that they've really interjected and has been vocal about the Intercontinental Championship, that he was the one that got the pin as opposed to Dominic. That's done deliberately, I'm sure. So as we push closer and closer to at least a triple threat, if not a four-way at WrestleMania for the belt.
I'm not saying it's intentional or not. I'm saying your daddy and your uncle are probably one of the best tag teams in the world. So how the frick you don't know how to be a tag team, sir? That's what I'm freaking saying. Dude, you see them holding Penta. Stop being overly anxious with your ADHD behind and slow your behind down the freaking ring when you're trying to spear somebody. That's all I'm saying.
So, like I said, the Judgment Day did get the win, and let's see. Next was there wasn't any post-match shenanigans or anything. So next we had. Oh, go ahead.
Not post-match. We can put these two in together. We can put these two right here by itself. So Finn was celebrating with Dom in the back. Yes, because this is crazy. Someone put a stat that this is Finn's first win since last year, and that last year December, last year September or something. It's like, what the frick are we doing with Finn? So Finn's on a high. He's like, you know what? I just won. I'm gonna go talk to Adam Pearce about my title, and he's like, and so Lou's like, yeah, you gonna do that. You gonna do that. And he's like, Dom, come here, baby. Listen, I love Finn, but you didn't get beat by Braun yet. You should be part of that match too. But Dom actually is like, no, actually, I'm okay. Like, baby, you know what? Leave it all on me. Don't even worry about it. I got you. And so basically, we're definitely going to get a Final Four for the IC title at Mania, which again, I'm not mad at all. And then side note, we had an interview with Braun, but Penta, very highly so, was mad. It's stupido. You broke my ribs. It's like, yes, you are stupid. You could have stopped. So I love that little part of it, because it's like, let's be very, very clear. This isn't buddy, jokey. We're all facing. We should all get along. It's like no. We're all coming for the title, so no, there should not be a part of this where it's like, hey, we like each other, good sportsmanship. I actually want the fire between Penta and Braun because no, we're all for the title. We ain't supposed to be friends. We're all for the title. I actually did like that.
Well, I agree. I thought this came off really well. I'm very interested in how they end up working this out, what this match ends up looking like come WrestleMania, and who they end up putting the belt on. It'll be very interesting to see if they leave it on Braun or if they decide to put it on somebody else. This is one of those ones where I'm not sure that I normally, and often I'm wrong, but at least in my head, I have an idea of where I think they're going or who I think's going to win or whatever. This time, this is one of those ones where I really don't know. I have no idea what the ultimate outcome is going to be at the end of WrestleMania. So I like that. It makes it, again, even though I'm often wrong, I don't like it when I feel like in my head I can predict what I think is going to happen. So I do
totally agree.
So, we have Chad Gable, who's still out with a medical issue, but he'll be fine for next week's match in his hometown.
You sick. Yeah, go. No, you sick. You can't do it. You sick.
Says, no. Your health is more important. So next week it's going to be El Grande Americano in action instead. Chad is okay, whatever. He goes to leave and he runs into the Alpha Academy. He proceeds to browbeat them, calls them clowns, calls Otis an idiot. Not totally. I mean, I guess that's not totally out of character. That's kind of how he was acting before. But it seems a little more. It feels a little more malicious now as opposed to like kind of teacher trainer before. So I don't know. I guess maybe who knows, whatever it is. But the thing that really worked.
You missed the boat. You should have done an actual match between Otis and Chad Gable. You did it. Now you're trying to linger it on. Sir, it's over. It's over. You should have done it. You should have done it when y'all broke it off. You did it. So move on. Move the freak on.
That's true. The thing that really scared me out of this whole promo, and the reason that I'm mentioning it, is because next we had Maxine, and Maxine says that her and Natalya have been talking, and they want to be in the women's title picture, which...
Bro!
Yeah.
Bro!
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I mean, for me, in the last 5 years, the worst performer other than Tyrus that I've seen, unfortunately, and it's not her fault, has been Maxine Dupree. She is just not good in the ring. And I don't know if it's just that she needs, her 10,000 reps, but she needs 20,000 because of whatever. But, for whatever reason, whatever the case may be, she needs to stay out of the ring. And her with Natty, who, is whatever she is. You can think whatever you think of Natty. She'll be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done, I'm sure. A lot of people think she's been underrated. A lot of people think she's been overbooked. I tend to think with the overbooked. I think she's solid, but I think she's treaded a lot on her name and her family. And that's got her a lot. That thing, that was always a big deal with Vince to a certain extent, who your family was and showing, that, and to be fair, Bret Hart didn't ever, Vince has a bad taste in his mouth for Bret Hart, but it's still the Hart family. And it's a big deal to have a member of the Hart family, in your company and that pedigree and all those things. So I think that, WWE always wanted Natty to be better or more or over than she was. I'm just not excited for the idea of her, them being a tag team for sure. And in the title, whatchamacallit.
I totally agree with you on that one. What I would say is, you see, I had a flip on that. I actually think, what's the word? I don't want to see Natalya. So it's like Maxine actually thinks she's getting better. Just a matter of not putting so much on her shoulders. But it's like me and Natalya, like, what the freak, bro? Out of all people could be your tag team partner, this is not. There is nothing. What's the word? Appealing about these two being a tag team. You had so many options. and you said, "Hey, screw all of it. Let's go with Maxine and Natalia." Okay, fine, whatever. Do you? It's okay.
We already know that they don't care. Well, I guess I think Triple H cares a little bit more, and probably TKO / Evolve, whatever the parent company is, their official name is. Probably care maybe a little bit more about tag team wrestling, but we know as a whole that the WWE never really cared about tag team wrestling, especially Vince, and definitely not women's tag team wrestling. So, it doesn't surprise me that they would that this is something that is given a second or third thought. Isn't given a second or third thought. They just, let's just do this and whatever. Yes, it gives her something to do, Maxine, but at the same time, I don't need to see her in the ring at all. What she does now is the best of what I think she can give me. So, and I know that sounds terrible, but just they just aren't whatever, and that's it comes across as an insult, and I'm sure that if I was face to face with Maxine Dupree and I said that, that's how she would take it. It's not necessarily how I mean it. The reality is that there are, 7 billion people on the planet, and I understand a lot of them aren't even in the realm of being whatever for, um, considered to be athletes, but there are very few and far between that can be athletes and can be athletes at the highest levels. And being a WWE wrestler on TV is for all intents and purposes, whether you're in the main card, whether you're on once a month, is still the highest level in many respects that you can get to in the wrestling industry. So, I the fact that Maxine Dupree might not be good enough to be on that level is not really an insult. It just is what it is. There's only so many people that can be that good.
Yes.
So, and she's not the only one. There are millions of people, I'm sure. Well, maybe not millions, but over the years, there have been over the years that have tried to be wrestlers that were unsuccessful. So it's not like there's more that have been unsuccessful and haven't made it than have made it. And the fact that she's even been able to get on TV for what she's done has been, just something she should hang her hat on. But yeah, for me, I'm not a fan, and I don't need to see her anymore. And her and Natty together not only doesn't move the needle for me, it moves it negatively for me. Like I'm like, oh, come on, really?
Like,
I'm like, no, that's not
no.
good. Like, and I don't want to see.
Yeah. Like, come
Who
on
do I
now.
even want to see him wrestle? Nobody. So, uh,
Okay.
AJ Styles.
This is definitely we need more bodies for the gauntlet next week on who faces Liv versus Raquel. That's the only thing. That's the only reason why we're setting it up. So at least say, hey, you got set up. Not like no one else kind of set. At least you got a set up for
I
it.
guess
Cool.
that's true. We know that they'll be one of the victim teams in the gauntlet. That's for sure. So,
yes.
AJ, you want to talk about AJ?
Sure. Listen. So no, it really does. Okay, we got Logan Paul here, right? We can all agree he's good at wrestling, blah blah blah. But the getting to the match has been a little bit excruciating at times to be around. Where basically he's a heel and he has to heel it up, and he doesn't really know how to do a decent promo with somebody to go one-on-one, and y'all both come out looking decent, right? So I'm going to summarize a little bit. And so he comes out and he's like, look, listen, I'm now a girl dad because I have my daughter. So I'm going to try to be a better person. So you know what? AJ, I forgive you for what you did in New York. And so definitely sarcastically, AJ was like, you know what? I take that. And as a girl and as a father of a girl myself, because you're not a girl dad. Let's be very clear. Girl dad if you don't have any sons. If you have sons, you're not a girl dad. I'm just saying. And yes, technically you have one daughter, okay, but you can't really claim it unless you have multiple daughters. That's just me. All right, whatever. And so AJ's like, I have a daughter myself, so I will in turn forgive you as well for being a freaking piece of crap. And of course, it's loud as hell because no one wants to hear Logan Paul. So like he's not like. Thankfully, you lost watching on television. Cause I heard if you're in the ring, you can't hear anything Logan Paul says. And so basically, AJ's trying to set up this match. Logan was like, like I'm not gonna do it in front of these poors. He kept calling about you're poor. That was a little funny, whatever. calling everybody poor, but they bought tickets to see you. You douche. You douche. But he's like, I'm like, how about we do the match at WrestleMania? And then AJ was like, the saying goes, don't try to check your butt can't cash. It gets a little physical, but Logan Paul gets the one up on him and does a new finisher. Well, basically it's like a gut wrench, not a power bomb, but a reverse like suplex or something. You gotta watch it. That's the closest I can get with words to describing it. He gets pumped, he walks out. We're gonna get Logan Paul versus AJ. Sure. Like I said, it feels like every year with Logan Paul, it's like, who's going to babysit Logan Paul in the match? Yes, he's good, but I don't think anyone is enthusiastically wanting to face Logan Paul. So unfortunately, this year's AJ Styles year to babysit Logan Paul, and it'll be fine. The match will probably be good to great, but getting there, man, like I said, it can be excruciating at times.
No, I agree. And
like, just get to Mania.
yeah,
Just get to Mania,
yeah, I
please.
agree. Logan Paul's not the best talker. He's articulate enough. He just hasn't mastered the form of the promo yet. So like, it still leaves a little to be
Yes.
desired. And AJ, who's usually a really solid promo, I thought he didn't feel very comfortable. He came out and kind of stumbled a little bit. It felt like in his opening lines, and just didn't feel like he was hitting on AJ Styles all cylinders like he can at times. So both those things together, and the fact that I really don't like Logan Paul. This segment was what it was for me. I'm very ecstatic that AJ Styles is back. He's one of my favorite of all time. I really
Yes.
hope that
Me
AJ
too.
gets the win. I'm extremely nervous that Logan Paul is going to beat AJ Styles, and that's going to really, really bother me.
Oh dear God.
Um, I don't know why. There are certain people that I revere in wrestling, and AJ Styles is one of them, and he's one of those guys that I don't want to see take a
Yes.
loss, and especially not a loss to a guy like Logan Paul at this point in his career. Like it
Yes.
feels like that's disgraceful to a certain extent. So, I really hope that he
It's
gets the
boo.
win. This feud has not been very good. It hasn't been booked very well. Neither of them, it just hasn't clicked for me in any way, shape, or form. But like you said, I'm sure the match, because Logan Paul's solid in the ring and AJ phenomenal, that it'll be good. I mean, the wrestling should be
Right.
solid. But yeah, I mean, another one of those matches at Mania that I don't really care about beyond the fact that I want to see AJ Styles beat the shit out of Logan Paul. So that
Yes.
Paulverizer, as he's calling it, his new finisher move, is pretty cool. That did look pretty
Right.
cool. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
But you yell at the top of your lungs after you do it makes it uncool. Like, sir, just do it. Just do it and shut up, please.
So we got two backstage segments and then our main event as we near the end of this episode of Raw. Lyra's backstage and is happy with her title defense last week, but now she wants to even the score with Bayley. And she'll do that in a title match next week. So it'll be Bayley versus Lyra for that. Is it the Intercontinental? Yeah, Intercontinental Women's Intercontinental Champion? No, North
Yeah.
American Intercontinental.
Intercontinental Women's
North American is
Championship.
NXT and Women's Intercontinental Championship
Yeah.
next week. I'm only talking about this really because I think Bayley, because I want to say I think Bayley's going to finally get the win. I have a feeling Bayley walks out next week with the title, unless Lyra does something or Bayley does something to push this farther, and this ends up being a WrestleMania match. I don't know that I want to see it, but I suppose I could see how they could think that in creative. But I just hope Bayley gets the win here. And nothing against Lyra, but Lyra at this point needs to probably take a step down in competition and her booking to a certain extent. She either needs to go back to NXT for a little while, or I don't know, but she needs more reps and more time in the ring before she has a title again. So
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think about this?
So crazy enough, they're going to be a tag team in the gauntlet to face Raquel and Liv. So I feel like it's going to be a DQ, unfortunately. And so that sucks. It does.
Finn is backstage, says he won the match and wants an intercontinental title shot. Finn then leaves, and Liv starts kind of gaslighting Dominic, saying, "Do you hear Finn? He said he won the match. As far as I'm concerned, you won the match, and you should be getting the title shot. You should be getting the shot for the Intercontinental title. Further spurring this division between Liv and Finn, right? I mean, Liv definitely doesn't like Finn. Finn doesn't like Liv. I think in Finn's mind, I don't know, I don't necessarily know how much he loved Rhea either, but I think in Finn's mind, he sees Liv as a reason that Rhea's gone, and that's, you know what I mean, and that maybe Rhea was.
No, because in a little promo when they broke up recently, Finn was like, "I'm the one who stirred Dom towards Liv." So no, that ain't the story. That ain't the story. But you realizing that you can't control Liv and that she don't like your behind like you thought she would, and now the freaking power struggle.
So they have a little back and forth, and she basically tells Dominic that he deserves the match, and that she's going to go talk to. That she's going to go talk to Adam Pearce about it. That Dominic shouldn't be happy in that, or that I was confused. Is it her or Dominic that she's going to go talk to Adam Pearce about it? I don't remember clearly.
She's going to talk to
Adam Pearce
for Dom,
Dominic, and advocate for him to get a title. So, like you said, we already have Penta and Braun. Finn's got his nose in. Now Liv's going to talk Adam Pearce in, or at least drive Adam Pearce crazy enough to put Dominic in the match. That'll be 4. We'll see how many more, if they end up having more than 4 people in the match. But we'll probably at least have those 4 in the match. So at WrestleMania. So
yeah.
Anything you want to say more about this? We've talked a lot about Judgment Day and this what's been going on here. Anything you want to say before we talk about the main event?
That should be fun. Like I'm actually looking forward to that Fatal 4-Way. That actually should be a fun match.
I agree. I think it should be fun too. I'm interested to see the dynamics between Finn and Dominic, how that ultimately plays out. And if this ends up being some way, because it's WrestleMania and they love to have WrestleMania moments, a moment where Finn leaves Judgment Day officially, or Judgment Day breaks up in some way, shape, or form, then I'm definitely all here for that. I'm curious to see the drama and how that plays out. I hope they do it well. Oftentimes they disappoint me in the way they do things, but I'm still excited kind of to see how they play out. So that brings us to our main event. You want to do the main event? You want me to do the main event?
I'll do it. Like, because dear God, like I'm still high for Triple Threat, but I just need y'all to do better. Okay, so it is Rhea Bloody Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Winner is going to face Bianca at WrestleMania. Bianca is a special guest referee. Side note, Bianca's outfit is so good. I'm like, sir, ma'am, you real life could have just done a shirt and shorts, but no, you're Bianca, so you had to do your thing, and ma'am, to do the drilling, and probably some women. All right, so we start the match, and we're doing a couple of headlocks. It's a couple of times where either Io is pushed to the corner, and Bianca is ripping Rhea away because, like, hey, you got to listen to me. I'm the ref. You can't be just in the 5-second count. Brian Danielson told us you got 5 seconds. Go to the other side. You do the same thing. Like, hey, break it up. So far, so good. As in, no crazy, no shenanigans, right? And so, a couple of spots, they go out to the outside, and Io tries to do a poison Rana, but she slips, and Ripley slips. So it's like, it looked really wonky. But Bianca counts to 10. They get in the ring before that. They're all good to go. So then we do some whoopty whoops, and then what was the move? I'm not to be very specific. I think So I keep saying Raquel for some reason. Rhea then freaking tries to kick Io in the face. Io moves and kicks Bianca square in her face, right? While Bianca's out, and so since Bianca outside the ring, Rhea does a riptide, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like, ma'am, I these are one of the times where it looks stupid. Where it's like, ma'am, you just saw you kick Bianca. So why would you go for a riptide and you know this chick is out, right? It's like, before you go for the cover, revive Bianca and then roll her in the ring. That's just me. That's it. So the England crowd is counting to 20, and so she's looking. So Rhea's like, Bianca, and Bianca's like, what? Chick, you just kicked me. So she, Bianca recovers. She slips in 1, 2. Io kicks out, and Rhea's bad, and Bianca's like, it was 2. I was out. I actually still counted. It was still 2. So a couple of jaw jackings. She puts her hands on her. It's like, hey. She's like, hey. Bianca's like, hey. Now, go somewhere. Go somewhere yourself. So Io's back. Io's back to being revived. Whoop de whoop. We doing some moves. Sick behind. Io goes for a moons. Io goes up top. She and freaking Rhea headbutts her the freak out. Headbutts the crap out of her in the sky. That looked so gnarly, but it was still a 2 count. Not knowing what to do, Whoop de whoop, whoop de whoop. And so Bianca and so Io go for a drop kick, and Bianca and Rhea moves, and Io hits Bianca square in the face. And this is when Bianca's like, you know what? I've gotten hit too many times. I'm tired. Ring the bell. No DQ. It's like, bro, like, what y'all booing Bianca for? I done got booted in the face. I got drop kicked out of mid freaking air. No, if this was a regular ref, this match would have been over. Like, it's so many things. We know why we're doing this, right? To lead to a triple threat. But if it was another match that when Bianca gets knocked out, a freaking mini Rick would have been running down the ramp to take her place. But no, none of this happens. Bianca had to take all these hits. And she's like, you know what? I'm done. Ring the bell. No contest. Rhea, right, justifiably is mad because this was her last as of right now, this is her last chance to go to WrestleMania, right? So she's mad. She goes, her and Bianca hits it out. Io gets involved and does a move off the ring apron. But Rhea stands tall with the riptide, and she's like, no, that ain't it. I'm gonna get Bianca and riptide her from the top rope, holds the belt, standing tall. Ma'am, you don't have a match. Why are you holding this belt? It's like it'd be one thing if we announced a triple threat. We didn't announce that yet, boo. You are still not going to WrestleMania right now. And so that's the end of the main event. Like I said, they could have set this up better. Like one of the time, like again, we know why this is it's this when you know what they're going to do, it's kind of hard to get involved in the match. You know, it's like we know it's gonna be triple threat, so we know it's gonna be either a DQ or shenanigans. So it's all a matter of how you set it up. It could have been set up way better. Like I said, once Bianca got kicked to the gods, you could have had a rough come down and you could have had a rough come down and help Bianca or do like take Bianca's place real quick. And then maybe he can do the no contest because he gets hit too, like something like that. But all in all, it was besides the shenanigans in the finisher, it was a decent match. It was a decent match all the while. Your thoughts on it?
I think it was good for what it was. I mean, we still haven't gotten a definitive,
Yeah.
announcement of a triple threat at WrestleMania, but we all assume that that's what we're moving towards, and that's the ultimate goal. In which case, that this outcome makes some sense because you don't necessarily want Rhea or Io getting pinned or the title potentially changing hands necessarily right before WrestleMania like that. So I understand it. At the time when I was watching it, I didn't really like the decision from Bianca to call the double DQ at the moment. I was like, the match has been good. It's like I want to see more of it. And at the same time, it makes sense. If I was Bianca, I probably would have done the same thing too. Um, obviously she has an agenda. We don't know what that agenda is. Is the agenda that she wants to wrestle Io alone? That she feels like she has a better chance against Io than she does against um, Rhea, and so maybe if she calls a DQ and Io retains the belt, she only has to face Io. I don't know that that's any part of it, but there's room for speculation about that, right? And why potentially what could have played into her decision ultimately. So again, I understand the reasoning for why it ended that way. I don't really like DQs in main event matches. I don't really like double DQs or DQs in title matches, but it all makes sense kayfabe wise. I thought it came off good. All three women looked strong. I There seems to be a natural pull with Rhea and Bianca and Io feeling like the extra, and I feel like WWE has tried to lean into it, and I'm not sure that I like the leaning into it part. I would personally prefer that instead of them, like instead of her, I don't know, like I feel like there's another way to do it because I feel like naturally, to a certain extent, for some reason, she does feel like the third wheel, and when you lean into it, it gives it more credibility. And I don't really like that because she isn't a third wheel. She is the champion. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not and she's not the champion in the way that she's just holding the belts till the better wrestlers there. She's a champion because Io Sky is an amazing is an amazing wrestler. I don't even want to preface it with women's wrestler. She's an amazing wrestler. I
Yes.
mean, she is a main event
Yes.
wrestler in any company she goes to. She should be around the main event title and wherever she's doing what she does. And she's one of the best in the world at what she does. So she definitely is not a third wheel, but leaning into it, I feel like solidifies that to a certain extent, which is something that I think people already think about to a certain extent, or feels like it happens naturally, unfortunately. Mostly because Rhea and Bianca have such huge personalities, and not that Rhea doesn't, not that Io doesn't, and maybe it's a disconnect because she's Japanese, I suppose. But I mean, Rhea's English. I mean, British. I mean, I'm not sure, but for whatever reason, there does when they're the three in the ring. Naturally, my eyes go more to the two of them, Rhea and Bianca, than to Io, and I think that for whatever reason, that's the way it's working. So I decided to lean into it, and I'm not sure I like that. But again, it all came off fine. The triple threat, however they do this at WrestleMania, ultimately the triple threat should be a lot of fun. This moment in time, I'm not totally sure who I even want to win. Like, I just am here for the match. Like, I'm out of the three of them, I'm definitely more Bianca's definitely my favorite. I love Io second, Rhea's probably third for me on that out of those three as far as whatever. But I that's tough because I love Rhea too. So all three of them, and for me, like I do think that Io still has a lot in the tank. I do see Rhea and Bianca, having a little bit more to their careers still. Io's done a lot more and been around more already. So just, internationally on the wrestling stage in general. And we
Yeah.
know Rhea's still really young, right? So, and I'd have to check Bianca's age, but I
Yeah.
think Bianca's still fairly young as well, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it feels
Yeah.
like, for the future kind of WWE and the women's division, the belt should probably be on Bianca or Rhea. At the same time, Io's amazing, and I mean, she deserves every title opportunity and run she gets. So I don't know. Um, I think it's a great main event
I
segment.
Yeah, I just need them to stand tall. Like just like we've been doing a variation of this for the past couple of weeks, where it's like more so they're gonna fight and Rhea comes out on top. I feel like every week for the past 3 or 4 weeks, Rhea come out on top, and I don't like that. It's like look. If you want this match to be somewhat unpredictable for the people, I need either well. Okay, I'll say Bianca was on top one week, but the fans booed her, and I'm like, what the frick is going on? So I guess for me, I need Io to stand tall. I need a definitive. I'm standing tall for both Rhea, before Io and Bianca, because for me, optics wise, they look kind of like chumps compared to Rhea, and I don't like that. I need them. I need to be more of a threat to Rhea, especially since old girl's not in the match yet. So yeah, I definitely need them to fix that next week.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I thought this show overall was a solid episode of Raw. I think I've given Raw a B the last 2 weeks, and I was trying to grade it again this week, and it feels like it's a B. I don't want to be like just every week, oh, it's a B. But I mean, the Cena Cody stuff was, I thought, the best that they've done so far, so that got a good mark. I liked the Judgment Day match versus Penta and Braun, so I mean that was positive. I loved the main event match. I didn't like the DQ at the end. I understand why you do it, kayfabe wise, but I don't like it. I agree with you that Rhea has looked like the strongest of the three, and I don't necessarily care for that per se. It should be more equal footing. They should all be getting a chance to stand tall. And it was, kind of a heavy talking week. I think there was only 4 matches.
We had New Day versus New Shit Republic. We had Braun and Penta versus Judgment Day. Then we had Lara. I don't think Lara faced each other. And then we had the women's main event. It was only like 3 matches, maybe 4.
And when you're talking, 2 hours, 2+ hours, 3 matches is not really enough. So that's a lot of talking, but it also did a good job of building towards WrestleMania. I mean, I'm still not overly excited for a lot of it, but it did build towards it. Tyler Bate was back. So
yeah,
I thought this last 2 weeks I've given it a B. I'm going to give this one a B+. I think it was a little bit better than the last couple of weeks. I'm going to go B+ this week for Monday Arrow.
I definitely agree with you. B+. More so I love the whole Gunther and Jimmy angle.
Right.
That was chef's kiss.
Gunther and Jimmy. So they had 4 matches.
Yes, it was a squash, but that was a good match. A good angle. And it's like, I'm not, again, like, it is what it is because it's over. But it's like, why have y'all not put Cody and Cena last? Like, I would, if they were last, this probably would have been an A-. Where like, that great promo, then you lay out Cena, that'd been great. But for some reason, I guess Cena catch a fly or something. It's first. So with that, yeah, B+. Everything else, like you said, nothing was egregiously sucked.
We talk about whether these guys watch the competition. Does Triple H watch AEW? Does Tony Khan watch WWE? I truly believe, and I don't know now because of having AEW, but I believe if you're a wrestling fan, and we all know Tony Khan has spent his life being a wrestling fan, you had to be a fan of not necessarily a fan of WWE, but you had to watch WWE because it was really the major wrestling around. So you can't be a diehard wrestling fan and not have watched WWE. So my guess is that Tony Khan probably still watches WWE. Let me just say, it's not lost on me that Cena and Cody, your world champion, open this week, and Moxley, your world champion, open Dynamite this week. I don't know if there's something going on there. I don't know who's watching who, but it definitely wasn't lost on me that there was definitely both of those things happen. And it's also not lost on me, and we'll get to it when it comes to Dynamite, but just real quick, that Moxley is moving. And I understand you want to have a good spot at the beginning and a good spot at the end. It feels like Moxley as champion is falling farther and farther down the list when Tony Khan's writing out the main event is this and the next match is this, and then we got to get Moxley a spot. Let's fucking put him in somewhere, right? Because he was in the middle of the card defending the title. Now he's at the beginning of the card. So we'll talk about it more when we get to Dynamite, but it wasn't lost on me. So I'm wondering if there isn't some sort of whatever between both of them putting their world champions up first on their shows this week.
I get that.
Let's see. So that brings us to the end. We both gave it a B+. So that's the end of our Monday Night Raw review, and we'll move on to NXT from this week, which was solid again. NXT continues to impress me just because it's never lost on me when I'm watching it, that especially when I'm thinking about, okay, I'm watching this because we got to talk about it on Winner's Circle, that in my mind now it just runs in comparison to Raw and Dynamite. And every week I'm continually amazed at how well it stacks up to what are considered the A shows for the two major, and this is a developmental show, and yet it continues to stack up week after week after week. So that being said, we are in the Capitol Center. It's Vic Joseph and Corey Graves and Booker T, Shucky Shucky Quack Quack in the house.
Yeah.
we get a recap. Oh no, let's see. I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Yeah, we get Stephanie McCare. She's gonna have a chat with Ava. Ava
Mhm.
praises that her recent effort. She talks about how she defended both championships successfully and that she was impressed with that. But Stephanie says that really what she has to do, and that her and Ava has agreed that she needs to vacate the North American Women's North American Championship. That she needs to give other women the opportunity to compete for the health of the women's division. Um, to have an opportunity for her to, it's not the best thing for the NXT women's division for her to hold both belts. So she's going to vacate the women's belt. They're going to determine who her next contender is going to be for the women's world championship and to get us a new champion for the women's North American championship. There will be a 6-woman ladder match at Stand and Deliver over WrestleMania weekend to determine who will be the new women's North American title. Having a little bit of a little bit of deja vu because I feel like isn't that how Kalani Jordan won the belt the first time? Didn't we have a 6-woman title match or ladder match
So,
for the title to begin with? If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
yes. Well, but like the Stand and Deliver before WrestleMania, you need a multi-person match for a North American champion. The men had it, now the women have it. I am not mad at this.
Stephanie says we need to pick a title or a contender for the women's world championship. And here comes the juggernaut, Jordan Grace, who says she wants the title match and the fans are demanding it. Here comes Jada Parker, who says that she dropped Grace last week. And then Grace brings up that she has already lost to Stephanie last week. And it's on between Jada
Rude.
and Jordan. Uh, and then let's see, Jordan Grace launches Jada over the top. Parker backs. I'm trying to remember exactly how it plays out. They brawl around a little bit. I don't remember exactly how the brawling ended up, but they end up separated, and that's basically the way that segment ends. They go off for commercial, essentially. Um,
Yeah, they brawl, and then I think she clotheslines Jada out the side of the
oh,
ring. Before Jada goes back, we have the security guards
that's
come
right.
in,
That's right.
and
Yeah,
Jordan just starts slugging them out lots of freaking
that's right.
border.
Yes. Yeah. She starts attacking the security guard, and then we go off the air for a commercial. So that's our first segment, which is essentially a women's world title segment. We talked a little bit about this. Um, we've been talking a little bit about Stephanie, since she's won the titles, what was going to ultimately happen. We talked about her defending them and whether whatever. And when we talked on Tuesday night at the cookout a little bit about this because it had just happened earlier in the day that she had vacated the title on NXT. So we talked a little bit about it. So I don't know how much more we need to say on it, but I do think she's right. I totally agree that her and Ava or whoever, Sean, whatever, um, that for the health of the women's division and the North American Women's Championship, it probably needs to be not on the same person that's holding the NXT Women's World Championship. One woman having 2 belts concentrates it too much. You need to have more opportunities. Plus, the reality is that even though she did it successfully last week, how many times can she successfully defend both championships? Is she doing injustice to both? The Women's World Championship is definitely the big one, and that's one that deserves her attention. And the matches and the title run, really, the North American Women's Championship should be the mid card title, and so it should be competed for by mid card wrestlers to a certain extent. And we'll see who ends up being the 6. We by the end of this episode, we will have had 2. That 2 of the 6 already decided. We'll get to that, but
Yeah.
um, so I mean, I this works fine. I thought the segment worked well. I'm okay with her vacating the championship. I didn't really understand why she had them both in
Hmm.
the first place. I don't really understand. I know why you said on the cookout, what you said on the cookout about her having to defend them at least both once. I'm still not sure I buy that. I don't. I think that if you're gonna do a vacating of the belt, it seems to me you don't need last week's 2 title defenses. You just do it right after on the first NXT after um, the pay per view where she won it, and just have her vacated before she defends it at all. At the same time, that doesn't mean that I was disappointed with either match last week. I thought both matches were great, and Stephanie looked good in both. It seems weird to do that. Have her seem to be defending them both, and then be like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," or I don't think this is. But I guess maybe you have a week where you do it, and then maybe you have a come to Jesus moment or an epiphany where you're like, "Yeah, this maybe isn't something I want to continue to do every week," or maybe I've decided after doing it twice and being essentially the opener and the closer of the show that maybe this isn't great for the women's division and that North American title to be whatever. So I don't know. But I love this. I love Jada Parker. I thought Jada Parker continues to look like a star. Her and Jordan Grace, I'm very interested in. I'm want to see that now, and it'll be interesting to see if we're gonna get that, and the winner of that faces Stephanie at Stand and Deliver. We have a couple weeks still, so I don't know if that's going to work out or not. But what do you think about this whole segment? What do you think ends up becoming? Who faces Stephanie at Stand and Deliver?
If it was me with a pin, and it's crazy because it's like triple threats and quadruple threats and everything are going all over the place. As of right now, I don't want to see Stephanie versus Jordan Grace by themselves. That's just me. I don't want to see that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why I'm not clicking with Jordan Grace as a one-on-one competitor. I've seen her a couple of times in TNA, but I haven't seen enough from I know what she is, as a character, right? But at the time that she's been in matches I've seen, and her time in NXT so far, I'm like, it's cool, but I am not here for Stephanie losing the title just yet, and I'm not here for Jordan Grace winning it just yet. So even though it's a trend right now, I am here for triple threat. Jada, Jordan, and Stephanie. If you have my vote, this was a good segment. The whole 2 belt thing, it felt like, I think that's why they did the beat down last week, where it's like it wasn't just her going defending 2 titles in 2 nights. It was actually her getting beat down in the middle of it. So it's like, I stood strong. I'm both champions. I think I would have preferred, it's a catch-22 of she's your women's world heavyweight champion, right? So her getting beat, even if it's for the North American championship, it's still kind of hard to do. It's like with MJF being the world heavyweight championship in the ring. Me included, and I'm like a hypocrite. I was saying let Ricky beat him for the ring, and he retains the belt. But at least that's one. But at least that's one person, right? Her getting beat by another person, like her getting beat for the North American Championship, but her retaining the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. I don't see how that works in her favor. For her to remain strong? So I'm down with the whole relinquishment. I'm not mad at it. And like you said, the women's ladder match is going to be so good. So I'm fine. I'm fine with all this.
Yeah. No, I ultimately am too. We next had Trick, who's basically says he's ready for Oba at Stand and Deliver. Oba, then we get Oba saying he's ready for Trick Williams tonight. They're going to have a face-to-face in the ring. We get all the women backstage who are arguing over who's going to be in the North American women's ladder match. At Stand and Deliver for the title. Everyone wants it. And that brings us to our first North American women's North American title qualifier match between Zarya and Lash Legend, which I was excited for this match. I like both of these women. When Metaphor was first around and Noam Dar was the Heritage Cup Championship and it was him and Aura Menson. These two, I really didn't like Metaphor. In fact, I actively disliked him. But these Lash and Jakara weren't
I remember.
necessarily doing a whole lot either. So as they started to separate themselves a little bit, I started to really like Lash and Jakara, and now I really like them both a lot. Jakara hasn't necessarily been around as much as Lash. Lash has been getting the nod a little bit more out of the two of them.
Right.
But here she gets the nod against Zarya, who came in roughly at the same time as Julia and Stephanie, and I kind of, without I didn't know really anything about her. Like I knew much more about both Stephanie and Julia than I did about
Mhm.
Zarya, and that's not saying much because I didn't know a whole lot about Stephanie, and even and just barely a tiny bit more about Julia. So. But the way they kind of presented them all coming in at the same time, I thought that Zarya was going to be getting a bigger push, kind of main event type picture, but she's kind of, it is what it is. They put her where they
Yeah.
put her, and I think it's probably in the right spot. She definitely still
Yeah.
needs to develop a little bit. You can see that, but she's good. The ceiling is high, and the ceiling is definitely high for Lash Legend. They look good. I made a comment. I think it was last night about, or maybe it was on the cookout. No, it was last night because I hadn't watched the show yet, so it had to be last night. About how either Zarya's
Right.
smaller than they originally built her, or Lash Legend is bigger than I thought she was, because Lash looked even a little bit bigger
Yeah.
than Zarya, and they booked Zarya as kind of like this big monster, but they haven't really booked Lash like that.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting to see that. But the match itself was very good. Zarya did ultimately get the win with F5 finisher. And okay. I guess it is what it is. Zarya came in, like I said, with a little bit more fanfare and reputation, I suppose. And the
More hype.
more
More
hype.
hype.
And so I guess the idea that she gets the win here over Lash Legend, who's trying to develop and work her way up the women's ladder a little bit, makes sense. I like them both equally at this point, and neither of them really stands out per se for me. I guess if I had to choose, I like Lash a little bit more. But they're comparable to me at this point in time, and Cesaria is now one of the first woman to qualify for the 6-woman North American ladder match at Stand and Deliver. What did you think of the match?
This was good. And like we nowadays you don't get a Lash Legend solo match, and she did supremely well in my opinion. I love the whole feats of strength and the whole Zarya trying to keep her down, but Lash is like, that just ain't I ain't one of these regular chicks you fighting, and it literally took a spear and an F5. I loved all of that. And like you said, I would have preferred Lash to win, but we know, like you said, Zarya had more hype. And for you to have to be her, and it is kind of crazy for her to be in the main event picture. So it's like this is the next step up. Like, all right, let's see how you do in the North American picture, and if you do well, then we'll put you in the main event picture. So I get why they did it, but I love big ups to Lash Legend. Sooner than later, she should be in a more prominent spot. Her and Shakar. I'm not sure how we get there, but yeah, it's definitely time to bring them up a little bit
I agree
higher.
with that. I agree with that. You can't support the titles that you have for women's tag team wrestling. At the same time, it feels like NXT almost needs a women's tag team title. I understand that the main
It
event, that
does,
the main
yeah.
roster, it's terrible, but at the same time, like, then come to NXT, and they've done that a little bit, but come more. You know what I mean? Or give the NXT women
Yeah.
a tag team title. I mean, I don't know. But it feels like they need something for the tag team division. For on NXT as well for the women. So
Thankfully enough, they've been on TNA and they've won. So if they win the TNA tag team titles, I think that'll be a nice little merge. That'll be a nice little
yeah,
spot
I
for them.
agree. Yeah, that would be fun. Josh Briggs and Inamura want to go to Stand and Deliver, but Wesley and Tyreek and Tyson aren't having that. And an argument ensues, and Lee challenges them to a match, Tyson and Tyreek versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. What do you think about this little segment with Wesley and his little faction? I guess one of you guys, it's a faction, right? So Briggs and Inamura.
Right.
This was fun. I do appreciate them putting more thought and more effort into Wesley's new faction. It's like, hey, we got to do something with them. They it's like we put them together. They should be on TV a little bit more. Um, we'll talk about later about what I think about Wesley, but I think he should be in the title picture. And now that someone has a belt, that should be more come sooner than later. But yeah, this is a nice little spot for
Yeah, I
everybody.
agree. I want to see Briggs and Namora versus Praxium again, and I mean, me personally,
Yeah,
even though Praxium's done a really good job with those titles, and they're solid, I'm a Briggs and Namora guy. I'm a Josh Briggs guy, so and I like Namora. So for me, more simply because Fraxium's had the belts for so long that it feels like something does need to happen at some point. I hope Briggs and Namora get the win at Stand and Deliver. I hope they're the team and ultimately they get the win. I don't know if they'll end up being the team. I mean, now, like you said, depending on what happens with Wesley and him being in the title picture, that gives Tyson and Tyreek more of a rub, right? And gives them you want
yeah,
that lead faction to shine a little bit more. So maybe they actually get the nod and get the title shot against Fraxium and Stand and Deliver. That's yet to be seen. But me personally, I hope it brings it in more, and I hope they actually get the title, win the titles. But Kalani Jordan wants into the ladder match, and Roxanne Perez says there's no way she should. She wants the women, so she'll have it. Roxanne says that she wants in essentially also, and that Kalani Jordan doesn't deserve to have a title, essentially. And so Ava puts them in a qualifying match for later in the night. Just
crazy enough, crazy enough that Roxanne has not been Women's North American Championship. On the flip side, I believe she was champion when it was created. So it's like catch 22. So it was a cute little play. It was a cute little segment of before Roxanne leaves, she wants to be a multi title winner. Side note, it feels like we were on the road to Roxanne being on the main roster. And I'm not sure if they dropped it or just waiting until after Mania, but her being in the slot it's kind of weird. Well, I say kind of weird is like usually you pick your person to do your swan. If we're all on the same page and Roxanne is main roster bound after Mania, and I think she should be, right? There really isn't anything else for her to do in NXT. She should be having her last feud, right? And so it is kind of weird where it's like, oh, she's just doing a qualifying match tonight. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe they have a plan in place and we just don't know it. But yeah, it was kind of weird to have her in here.
yeah, I mean, it gets. We'll talk about it later when we talk about the qualifying match. But yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'll save my commentary for then. But I thought that this little segment was okay. I mean, I did think to myself, this is a little odd. I mean, like you said, I had all those same thoughts. Roxanne, I thought she was just world champion. I thought she was going to the main roster sooner
Mhm.
than later. Now she's trying to compete for what feels like a mid card title on NXT. So I don't know. We'll end up
Yeah.
seeing. And I'll save the rest of my thoughts until we talk about the match later. But D'Angelo family is looking for information on this was terrible. I love the D'Angelo family, but this is terrible. They're looking for information on Dark State, and so every member of the uh, family, I guess, was apparently tasked with finding out something about one of the members of Dark State. Um, and so they're sitting around
Yeah.
the table, and Tony D basically says, tell me what you guys got. And they kind of go one by one through their little printed out dossier of each member of Dark State. Man, I thought this was terrible. I mean, I understand doing your homework. I understand learning, but like the way that they did this, Dion Lennox, ex, wrestler, NFL player, dude's a pro. Like the way they just the way they described him, like e- each and every one of them. Oh, this guy was in the, 6-time, whatever, All American wrestler in high school and college, and and it was just like, oh my god, this is just it just came off bad in my opinion. Um, they all definitely. This was, I guess, the intention is to actually put some identification on the members of Dark State because we don't know who they are.
Yes.
but I didn't think this worked. I didn't like the way that this worked. First of all, they didn't make it very clear where any of these people got their information. So you've tasked all four of them to
They
get the information, but you don't explain like how each one got their information, and each one's packet looks very similar. So it looks like they all just sat down at their laptops and Googled these guys, like, and the information is like
they got
real surface too. So it's like they really just went to their Wikipedia page and was like, okay, you know what I'm saying, type of thing. So
they got contacts, and once they wrote down the contacts, they went to Kinko's and printed out the package. They got connects. They got connects. That's all we need to know. They got we don't you don't know mob boster connections. You know mob boster connects. So no, they just got connects. That's all you need to know. It's
oh man, but needless to say, the D'Angelo family introduces us all to the members of the Dark State: Dion Lennox, Osiris Griffin, Cutler James, and Shaquan Sugars. Which Shaquan is the smallest of the one. He's the one that is like the liveliest of the bunch. Uh, for lack of a better way to describe him, Cutler James is a big white dude. Um, and Dion Lennox and Osiris are the other. Dion's a lighter black guy, and Osiris is the darker black guy. So, and then the little one, obviously, I said is Shaquan. And as far as I can tell, Shaquan's really like kind of the heartbeat of the group so far, and kind of the one that's like, okay, I see probably the most potential for him, just because of his, energy and whatever. But we'll see what ends up happening. I'm curious to see what becomes of the D'Angelo family versus the Dark State, which I'm assuming is where we're going here ultimately, because there's four members of the Dark State and
yeah.
there's five members of the D'Angelo family. Well, four men and one woman, five members of the D'Angelo family. It seems like a natural situation for them to fight each other. And since Dark State has been in the D'Angelo family business, it makes even more sense. So, yeah, I mean, I thought.
Oh, are you
No, no, no,
frozen?
no. I'm
Or am
trying to
I
gather my
frozen?
words.
Oh.
For for a way to introduce these guys, they could have done better. They could have done better. Let's put it that. What do you think, Alvin?
Yes and no. I don't think like because in my brain, right? When it comes to wrestlers, who really cares about your education and background? No offense. I just need to know if you're charismatic and you can wrestle, right? I did love the little notion of um uh Tony D was like, I thought he was just some guys trying to get 50 minutes of fame. And it's like, oh no, they're actually if I'm not mistaken, every one of them are smart. Everyone got
What's it
accepted
called?
into school. The last one, Shaquan, was actually accepted into Harvard.
Tony says.
And he denounced it. So I actually like a little tidbit of
Tony says. So
like,
he's on. Tony says. So he's
hey.
only street smart. And was it Stan Luca or whoever was
He's
like,
like,
no, he actually got accepted into
it was
Harvard. He
that,
just turned it
yeah.
down.
And it's like, what? I actually had that little tidbit of, okay, like he said, oh, so these aren't just guys 15 minutes of fame. So not sure how much stank they're gonna put on it. But I would love if they're like, okay, we're not just like you said, we're not just trying to crave the spotlight. There's actually a mission statement, maybe, or actual goal in mind. It's very tricky when you have these factions and stuff. So it's like we're all like, please do it right. But I would love if they actually have a mission statement or a goal in mind. That would actually be like very like amp up the group a little bit higher. So I actually did kind of like that part.
Yeah. No, I agree. Hank and Tank have new gear courtesy of Pretty Deadly. They're not quite.
I
They're not
saw
quite sure it's the right
it.
look. Uh,
And y'all are too big for them costumes.
Let me just say, I'm glad that when they come out for their match in the next segment, that they're not wearing the Pretty Deadly outfit. Let's just put it that way.
Please don't.
Let's see. So next we get No Quarter Catch Crew versus Hank and Tank. Tavian Heights and Miles Bourne for No Quarter Catch Crew. Hank and Tank get the win. A little over 5 minutes. And I mean, I think the goal here, it seems like okay, I say somebody. Clearly, Shawn Michaels likes Hank and Tank. There's something he sees in them because
Yes.
he continues to put them on TV. He continues to try to find ways to get them on TV and get them over. For some reason, he thinks they're funny, so he continues to try to put them in this kind of comedic, funny type of role. This week, they're wearing Pretty Deadly outfits that don't really look right on them. Not that they necessarily look right on Pretty Deadly, but at least they look
Right.
somewhat better. And then they, you know,
It's a vibe.
and then
Yeah,
they
it's a
get the
vibe.
win here against, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a Miles Bourne fan. I was a Tavian Heights fan. I think it's unfortunate that he's been caught with, I'm going to call the no quarter catch crew vortex at this point. Um, but I felt like
Mm.
when No Quarter Catch Crew first came out, they had plans. They wanted them to be like something, and they have become nothing, which is ultimately okay, I guess. With the Charlie Dempsey, I don't really care. So I understand why Hank and Tank get the win here, and it feels like they're pushing Hank and Tank, so it makes sense why they get the win here. I just don't care. None of this matters to me. I don't like Hank and Tank. I don't really care about No Quarter Catch Crew beyond Charlie Dempsey. And these are the two guys that want him. So, it is what it is. The match was what it was, and it was definitely more of a showcase for Hank and Tank. So I'm not sure I see what they see backstage, but somebody sees it. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I will agree with you on there. Sometimes you gotta do a deep dive. 'Cause I do believe it's like, hey, all right, who's your parents? Who's your daddy? Was your daddy from a wrestler? That's why you getting this rub. That's what it feels like, right? Because my baby, Shawn Michaels, yes, he's a lot of things, but when it comes to talent in the ring, I don't think he's that biased, as in he's gonna put you. He's gonna give you a rub if you suck. So this might be you is somebody's son, and that's why you getting this rub, because like you said, this week Pretty Deadly hyped him up. Last week it was Russian Machine Guns. It was like, hold up, wait a minute, time out. Why are they getting this rub from these other tag teams that we actually like on SmackDown? So it's like you said, it is what it is. It's fine. I'm glad like they didn't win. So like you said, there's only so high of a ceiling that I think Shawn Michaels is gonna put him towards, right? Like in my brain, I might eat my words later. I don't see them winning the titles, right? This could be like, I don't see them win the titles. It really, like, again, it might be above my baby, but I don't see him putting the titles on them unless they're 100% ready or they're 100% over. And right now they're just here. They don't suck, but they're just here right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I can agree with that. Trick is in the ring. He says he is still the man around here no matter what Oba has to say. There's nothing that's going to stop Trick from getting back to the top of the mountain. And here comes Javon Evans. Javon Evans comes out, hits him with the bro like 10,000 times. It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So Javon says, he wants the number one spot, but he doesn't want to step on anybody's shadow to do it. Williams says he has no idea what it is to be champion, and that you don't deserve that I've earned this spot. You're too young to be here. You still have too much. And so Javon says, you're a hypocrite. You know who you are? You're not Trick Williams. You're Carmelo Hayes. You're doing exactly to me. You're right. You're doing exactly to me what Carmelo Hayes did to you when you said you wanted your title shot. He tried to, big dog you, and now you're trying to big dog me. So I'm not here for that. And then, of course, you know, cue the
Mm.
real big dog. Oba Femi comes out just to make this more interesting. Oba basically tells Javon to shut up, even though Javon says I'm gonna, threatens to basically attack Oba again. Oba says shut up. The moment is with him and Trick. They're the now. Javon has plenty of time, but this is the moment for Oba and Trick. Let's see. The triple threat. Oh, let's see. So Ava's there. She announces that it will be a triple threat match at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, Stand and
Interesting.
Deliver WrestleMania weekend. Williams takes that moment as he's not probably frustrated, and he attacks Javon. The lights go out. Dark State appears. Oba tells them to bring it, so they come in to beat him down. Evans and Williams are ultimately laid out too, and Dark State kind of stands tall a little bit here, which I like. I saw it out really, 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 really well. I'm excited for the triple threat at Stand and Deliver, and I think that they're doing a really, really good job so far with Dark State. I like that they're supposed to, you want them to start to feel like a big deal. So they need to be a big deal in putting down the three guys that are fighting for the world championship in a triple threat at your big pay-per-view have been put down now by these four guys, and that's a big deal. So it works well to further give them credibility. And I really enjoyed this. I thought the segment was really good. What about you?
No. Like you said, totally agree with you. You can tell Javon was the baby in this segment, more so when I say being in a promo battle with two big people for the main event. But he still hold his own. The spots he needed to hit, he did hit. So I appreciate that. Like you said, when Dark State came out, I love the move sets. Like the whole toss into a power bomb and tossing like they actually like I'm pretty sure please pre-practice because it could go wrong. But as of right now, I like you said, I love the whole presentation of it. And I think next week we're gonna get Oba, Trick, and Javon versus Dark State. That should be fun as ham fat. So this segment hit all the notes it was supposed to. Javon being added to the main event at Stand and Deliver was not on my bingo card. I did not think we were gonna get that. I don't think he's gonna suck, but it is like, why aren't we getting just Trick and Oba? I wonder, like, again, we love Javon. We think he's gonna have a good future, but is he ready for this spot? Like I say, he was decent here, but like this is in real life, this is the big leagues. All right, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's a way to protect both Trick and Oba. Javon will
Yeah,
take the pin ultimately, um, and from either one of them, and so they both look strong. And I guess it leads to maybe them running it back one on one eventually down the road. Um, I almost think that because Javon's in the match, it feels like that makes the scales tip towards Oba retaining for me. Um, but
mm,
again, I don't know. We'll see. The thing is that Oba has that kind of air, and I know Tony D'Angelo beat him, and I know he's lost a couple times. Oba has that kind of air about he's so like, how are you going to beat him? And Trick is definitely formidable. Don't get me wrong, but there's still an air about like
yeah,
how can Trick get it done, and the way Trick can get it done is by pinning Javon, not having to pin Oba, right? That's the way he can get his title back. So he
right,
doesn't necessarily have to beat Oba. So I can see it a little bit. I the only thing that I don't necessarily I'm torn. I feel both ways about it for Javon. It's great this young to be in a main event picture. It's great this young to get that rub. You're gonna get in the triple threat match. You're gonna be at Stand and Deliver, which is the NXT's WrestleMania pay-per-view. So it's a huge deal. At the
yes,
same time, I really like Javon Evans and the idea that he's, in my mind, that he's basically there to take the pin. I'm not a big fan of. I don't know that it stunts his development per
yeah,
se, but I'm not sure I like it. I'd almost rather see him. It almost, even though it felt done and they put a bow on it, I almost feel like I'd almost rather see the feud with Ethan Page and Javon Evans still kind of going, and that they had a match and Stand and
yeah,
Deliver something like they built on what had happened already and had a bigger match and Stand and Deliver, just so that Javon kind of continues to stand on his own and show how good he can be. He's going to have moments. He's going to have his spots in that match. I just know that that match is going to be Trick and Oba. Really, that's what it is, right? And so he's
right.
definitely the third wheel. So in that regard, it is what it is. Javon's very, very young, and he'll have a lot of opportunities, and assuming he stays healthy and and is going right. So, this is the first of many to come. So, three of them. I mean, I don't know what Oba's age is, but I think all three of them are fairly young. At least in wrestling years, they're all new to me.
Yeah.
So, so I
Yeah.
think they all have bright futures ahead of them. So, Fraxium is mocking Hank and Tank over their pretty deadly stuff. Um, Axiom wishes him and Frazier were such close friends, though. He's kind of he's kind of disappointed that they're not as close as Hank and Tank are. Swipe Right, which is an Evolve team, comes out and wants a match against Fraxium. Frazier accepts. Fraxium isn't. Frazier accepts. Axiom is laying whatever kind of metza. I thought this was interesting. He said that these guys said to Fraxium has made a big deal about how the Motor City Machine Guns are, they look up to them. They're kind of their idols, all those kind of things. And the Swipe Right said to Fraxium, "You're our Motor City Machine Guns. We've been watching."
Wait. Time out. The name of the group, the name of the tag team is called Swipe Right.
Right.
Okay, I'm like, he keeps saying, I'm like, what? Did the screen go to the other people? I'm like, wait, this is the name of the group. That's why I was confused. Like, hold up, that's the name of the Swipe Right.
Rocky Smokes and Brad Baylor.
Sure.
That's the name of their group, Swipe Right, and they've been on Evolve. Evolve's been on 5. They've had 5 episodes, and they've been on 3 of the 5 episodes. They've wrestled on 3 of the 5 episodes. So right now they're kind of like their most televised tag team. I don't want to say they're like their big tag team because whatever, but like they're the most televised tag team so far on Evolve since it started. So they came up here and they basically said, you're our Motor City Machine Guns. We've been watching you, which just further tells you how young they are, right? Because Fraxium, both Axiom and Nathan Frazier are young in general, and they've only been wrestling as a tag team and champions for 2 years now. So I mean, it's like, okay.
No. Yeah, when people say that, that's still it still freaks me out when they're talking about like when Roxanne and old girl, what's her friend's name? That's from Chicago. Roxanne's best friend. It's not what is
Cora
it?
Jade?
Yeah, Cora Jade. Yeah, it still freaks me out when they said AJ Lee is your. I'm like, what the freak?
Right? Like, how young are you?
Is that part?
Roxanne Perez walked by,
or when Top Flight said the Young Bucks were there. I'm like, what the freak? I thought Young Bucks just started. What the freak, bro? Like, it really is crazy. People say
that. So they're talking. Fraxium and Swipe Right are talking, and then Roxanne Perez walks by, and Swipe Right calls her a smoke show. I don't know why I wanted to mention that. It is. We get our next North American.
Eat your shot, I guess.
We get our next women's North American title qualifier match between Roxanne Perez and Kalani Jordan. This was from earlier when they had a little, discussion about it, and they ended up booking the match. Surprisingly, it was a very good match. They gave it quite a time. Kalani Jordan got the win with the DDT.
Right?
Was very surprised about this. Like, I wanted to talk about this. When you started talking about this earlier, I kept saying I'm going to hold my thoughts because, I mean, this was a woman that, a year ago now, 8 months ago, was women's world champion, NXT women's world champion. So now she doesn't have her title. She's been essentially kicked out of the main event picture. And now she's competing, I guess, for the mid-card for a spot in the ladder match for the Women's North American Championship, and she loses? I've got to imagine that she's going to the main roster. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me why you're going to put her in a position to look really bad right before she goes to the main roster, but wow, really? Like, I mean, the fall from grace for some reason. And don't get me wrong, she's 25 years old or 24 years old. So, I mean, it is what it is. She's got a huge future and a long time in wrestling. But wow, this feels like a real, like she's done something to piss somebody off for. Wow, I don't understand why she's fallen so far down the ladder. It just seems bizarre.
So I wish this was her swan song. Where like we were talking about earlier, who's she gonna get the rub to for NXT? It feels like Kalani Jordan would have been a nice little candidate for that, right? But like you said, we're not. This isn't her last match in NXT, right? Or it doesn't feel like it. It's competition to get into the women's North American ladder match. So on one hand, we're actually giving what you call it. We're actually we're actually moving forward with Kalani Jordan, who is great. I love her in the ring. She's getting more aggressive as her character, which is needed. And then but the flip side of it is like, how do we want Roxanne to go out if it's time for her to leave? And it's like, why? I wouldn't want. Okay. We're all saying this under the impression that that she is about to leave, right? Sooner or later. I wouldn't have wanted her in a multi-woman match. So on that part, I'm okay with her not being in it. Like you said, this is a very big rub for Kalani Jordan to beat Roxanne. It's a very, very big rub. And if we're right and Roxanne is leaving soon, it really doesn't matter how, like, wow, so she lost the match? Who is she going to face her last match in NXT? These are the questions we want if she's actually main roster bound. But it was a great match, and Kalani did not look like she was missing a beat on Roxanne, which is great because she, the protege is not just a nickname. Roxanne is that chick in the ring. So congrats to Kalani Jordan. I'll say that.
No, I mean I agree. I mean, congrats to Kalani. I'm not necessarily the biggest Kalani fan, but hey, take your opportunities when you can. Someone says you're going over against Roxanne Perez. I mean, yeah, by all means, I'll do that. So yeah, I mean, I find it very interesting. I'm not sure what the future holds for Roxanne Perez. I don't know now that she's lost this and basically eliminated for all intents and purposes at the moment from the mid-card women's title picture. If she stays on NXT, I don't know what she does, where to go from here. And if she goes to the main roster, it's not the greatest. She's not coming out of NXT looking very strong. So it'll be interesting to see where they try to put her in the main roster and how they try to book her after. The reality is that most wrestling fans do watch all the shows, right? I think. I mean, I don't know, but I think they do. I mean, they, Raw and
your core
Raw and
wrestlers,
SmackDown fans know what's going on NXT. They know who Roxanne Perez is. They know, that she lost her last match before they brought her to the main roster, against the Kalani Jordan. It seems like, so yeah. I mean, if that's the route, and this is her last match, it's very weird. I can't imagine it is, but if it is, it's even weirder. So I don't know. Stevie Turner is with Ava, and they're talking about Stand Deliver. Ava says she's worried about Dark State at the moment. Ava Stand Deliver will be what it is, and so she puts them in a match against a 6-man match against Oba, Javon, and Trick. So we get Ricky.
How will they
coexist? Ricky Saints isn't worried about Sean Spears. Sean's been talking about his past, but Ricky doesn't care. Tonight is about the future when he wins the North American Championship. Zarya wants Sol Ruka out. She wants Sol Ruka to be with her in the match and Stand and Deliver. Kalani Jordan says she's winning, so it doesn't matter. Zarya isn't really impressed by any of that. Sol Ruka says she's going to win, and Zarya doesn't quite like that either. Well, I guess we'll end up seeing what ends up happening if Sol qualifies, and if there's a little bit of a fallout there between those two ultimately.
Like, look. So it is kind of crazy, though. You want me in the match, but you don't want me to win. So it's like, what? So what exactly are we doing here?
Right, is what you're saying. Basically, that's the implication.
Exactly. It's like, if I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna go for the title, chick. What you talking about? Like I said, and as of right now, there are no tag team women's championships. So yeah, if I'm gonna be in this match, and I do think so, Ruka should be in this match. It's a ladder match, so that'll be very much so fun. Yeah, that'll be fun.
So next, it's time for the main event.
Side note, did you know that this was the main event? Like, I thought this was for Stand and Deliver. When they said this match was coming on tonight, I'm like, wait, hold up, wait, we're doing Ricky and Sean for the belt tonight. Yeah, I was very surprised. I'm like,
I
hold
mean, I was
up.
surprised last week when they announced that it was going to be on this week for the title, but that it wasn't going to be at Stand and Deliver. So, but I knew that it was coming this week. I wasn't surprised this week. I was surprised when they announced it last week, though,
Okay,
that it wasn't going to be at Stand and Deliver. So North American title
I
match:
missed that.
Ricky Saints, formerly Ricky Starks, exactly, versus Sean Spears, formerly Ty Dillinger. Spears and the culling. Spears has his boys here with them. You know, it's this was a solid match. I thought it was fun. We get at the end, Spears tries to hit Ricky with the C4, but Ricky reverses into a C4 of his own. Saints takes out the members of the culling that had been getting involved with a spear, and then he hits the Rochambeau on Sean Spears for a pin, and we have a new North American champion. In a solid match, I'm not sure what word. Okay, let me rephrase this. Solid match. Very happy that
Yes.
Ricky is been successful so far on NXT. I
Yes.
don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me why they only put the belt on Sean Spears for 1 week. Or 2 weeks. It doesn't make any sense in that regard.
3
3 weeks,
weeks.
maybe?
I think
And then
we'll give
3
it
weeks.
3.
We'll
We'll
give
give
it
it
3
3.
weeks. I know that
Yeah, 3
you're
weeks.
critical in general of guys coming in and getting title matches and winning titles right away without doing a whole lot. So there is always that question as far as Ricky goes. To be fair, on NXT, it feels a little bit less of an issue because it's a developmental show and we know who Ricky is. So in that regard, it's a
Yeah.
little bit different than it would be like if he just went up and beat Gunther or went up and just beat Cody, you know, in the first 3 weeks he's here. That would be a little bit different for
Yeah.
me. You know, Ricky Starks is destined for the main roster. I'm surprised he's even doing a
Yeah.
stint in NXT, but I think, you know, I think this is WWE's natural progression. They run everyone for a minute through NXT just to make sure that even though we've seen with our own eyes what you can do, I want to see it like in front of, like I just want to see it again, you know, a couple more times before you're
In front of
right
our
before you
crowd.
go to, you know, the main roster. But we know he's destined for the main roster. We know that Ricky Saints is going to be a megastar for WWE, assuming that he stays healthy and everything works all right. He definitely has that ability and that potential. So the fact that he's here getting a win, you know, and winning a title on a developmental show makes sense right away. He's a megastar, so he shouldn't be toiling at the bottom very long. And you know, the reality is that his future is a lot brighter than Sean Spears at this point. I like Sean Spears, but Sean Spears has, like I like to say, more days behind him than in front of him, where it's opposite for Ricky. So,
Yeah.
you know, the reality is that Sean
Yeah.
Spears is putting over, you know, a future legend or future talent. I say future legend. I assume that, you know, for me, I think that's what's going to happen. Um, at the same time, it doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to put the belt on Sean for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and basically this is what I think he didn't even have a title defense. Wasn't this his only title defense? Or did he defend it one time before this? He might have defended it one time before this.
He did a they did a rematch with him and
You know,
Tony D, and I think
that's
that
right.
was
That's
it.
right.
It was the
That's right.
rematch.
So he
Yeah.
defended it one time against Tony D, and now he lost it. So again, I'm not mad at Ricky Starks
Yeah.
being champion and any Ricky Saints being champion in any way, shape, or form. It's perfect. It's great for NXT. I think it provides, you know, it elevates that belt a lot. I don't know, you know, for me, Ricky will ultimately be NXT champion too if he stays around long enough at some point. So, you know, in your goal to try to elevate titles, I guess, to a certain extent, it definitely elevates that North American Championship to bring it right up to by putting it on a guy that feels like a main event superstar. So it brings it up by nature, like it did when Gunther had the Intercontinental Championship belt on the main roster. So,
Yeah.
and then, you know, post match, Ricky's celebrating, and Ethan Page comes out and basically tries to take him out. Well, I assume that
Boom.
Ethan Page is probably going to be his first feud or, you know, title defense. which I'm
Understandable.
here for. So I liked all this.
Yeah.
I thought this came off really well. The main event I thought was really good. Again, a little questioning why Sean really had the belt for a week and what that means for the calling ultimately, which I like. But again, not mad that Ricky has the belt. What do you think ultimately of this match? And give me a grade for the show overall.
Yeah, no, totally. What do you call say? Totally agree with you. This match was great. Again, I missed the note they're going to do it this week. So I'm like, oh Snoop. Sean Spears is a veteran, so he's going to be good. Ricky, we know was great. So this was a no brainer, right? Very shocked that Ricky got the belt. Like he said, I do have an easiness about people winning it so far. When it comes to the North American title, right? It's kind of once okay, use your words. There we go. When Ricky debuted, right? And he was in he was in a tag team with Javon. And they're facing Ethan Page and what's his name? Wesley. And it was like, oh, this is where the title should be. So even though I love Sean Spears and I wish we had a little bit of longer reign, this does feel right. Whereas, like, yes, let Ricky have the belt and let him go up against Wesley. And as you said, his next person is Ethan Page and Javon Evans, if you want to do that. I have no qualms about the belt being back in this situation, right? Um, going forward, yeah, Ethan Page being his first opponent, we try to hold it back, right? We try to hold it back as long as possible, but it's like, come on, we can't hold it back any longer. Especially Stand and Deliver. This is gonna be a very tasty match for that pay per view if you're gonna put it on Stand and Deliver. So I'm here for all of this. This was great. I gotta bring it up. So the NXT crowd after Ethan Page does drops Ricky Saints, they do the chant Tony fumbled. And it's like, as in Tony Khan. And it's like, I'm petty. I am petty. And more so with Ricky Starks. Ricky Saints, I totally agree. But boys and girls, this is the landscape of wrestling right now. We gotta drop it. We gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. I do think he fumbled, but we gotta let it go. They're over here now, and the landscape is this is it. Let's all calm down. Let's all calm down. Let's stop the pettiness. Great for this show again. What there were no low points to the show, and all the matches were good. So but can I, even though I say all that, can I justifiably give it a higher grade than Raw? And it's like it was like yes. So my grade for NXT this week is A minus.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm in the same exact position you're in because like I really enjoyed Raw this week. I thought Raw was better than it had been. I enjoyed this week. Not that it's been
Yes,
down, but I thought this was a solid week of Raw. I thought this was a really good
right.
NXT week. I mean, normally we have a Carmen
Yes,
Petrovich segment or something where we're like, oh well, there wasn't any of that this week. There was not a down segment this week. There wasn't a segment where I was like, oh, I could take or leave that. I thought everything was really, really solid this week. So,
right.
and the main event I thought was really good. Ricky winning the title, I'm happy about. So, man, I think I'm kind of in lockstep with you. I think I might give it an A minus too. I'm trying to decide it's either an A minus or a B plus, and I think it's right there. I give Raw B plus. So, think, man, I hate to just be like, oh, I'm just following Anika's grades, but like, I don't really know. Like, I feel exactly the same way. So, I know if Sammy was here, he'd give it a different
It's
grade just
fine.
to give it a different grade, just to be whatever. But
Right.
I'm not that person. You're right. You're right. And I agree. I think A minus is a good spot for them. I think they were just a hair better this week than Raw, just a hair better, uh, just
Just a little bit.
tiniest bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So all right. So we both gave Raw a B plus. We both gave NXT an A minus. So right now NXT is in the driver's seat. as we come to our final show, AEW Dynamite. Miss Anika will take the lead and walk us through this week's Dynamite.
All right, boys and girls, like you said, this is the real AEW Dynamite from April 2nd. And so we start off hot like a fajita. We have our intergender tag team match with the Moxley and Marina Shafir versus Swerve and Willow. Let me tell you, like you said, I was a little surprised that this was the first match, but they actually kept the storyline consistent throughout the show. So all right, cool. So I get it now. This is Marina Shafir's first match in a very long time. I know she's been in Bloodsport, but on AEW, I can say easily this is probably her first match in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely
at
a year,
minimum since she's joined with John Moxley. I mean, she hasn't had a match since she's been with Moxley. And that's been
right.
for a minute now.
And then after
And
that,
before that, it's been a minute. Too.
like maybe yeah, I'm pretty sure she did some stuff in Ring of Honor, but no offense, y'all don't put no stank in there. So like this was this was her. So I was very excited for her, and you could tell when Moxley and Marina were entering through the crowd, you can tell Moxley was trying to hype her up. She like he was hitting her on the shoulder. You got this. Come on, girl. We can do this, right? So they entered through the ring. They both got hoodies on. I love it. I'm like, I was hyped for her. Like, girl, you got this. Don't like just breathe. Then on the other hand, you had Willow come out to her beautiful upbeat music, and then here comes Swerve, and Willow is doing the na dance with him. I'm like, you're so precious in the best way possible. You're so precious. But when Swerve came out, she was like, it's like, all right. He's like, all right, back to business. This was a tornado tag match, and I think this was the best way to do it. Because like I said, it's Marina Shafir in AEW and a little bit in NXT. We really haven't seen how good she can be. We know she was good. We know she's good in Bloodsport, and it's just a matter of finding the best way of highlighting her. She is somewhat the rookie in this scenario of she didn't get enough TV time. She didn't get enough matches. So she needs to be like, she's the one who needs to be highlighted a little bit more in this match, right? So I do believe that a tornado tag team match was a good way to go. So like I said, side note, if you know it's going to be that chaotic, just like Anarchy in the Arena, can we please get more cameras? Can we please? I need I need 2 cameras on the floor and a big wide shot, because it's going to be crazy. So I'm like, just as a camera person, I need it just in case you don't miss anything. 2 people on the floor and 1 big shot in the crowd. It's a standard shot. Device to say, so like I said, so the match happened and it balls to the walls. I believe, Moxley and Marina just go towards Swerve and Willow. We're just exchanging bow for bow. Sometimes they're getting upper hand, and then I saw Willow and Swerve slingshotting Moxley and Marina to the barricade, but that was only for a short amount of time. And then Marina gets the upper hand. You can like listen. If we're going to do spots, I need you to bench press your weight so you can lift a chick, right? Because Marina and Willow's on the ring apron. Marina's trying to do this unique way of lifting Willow by one leg. And it's like, hold up, hey, it's not working. But listen, they try to power through, and they did. And she sends Willow through a table. Thankfully, the landing was not all the way to her, like to the back of the neck. It's like, oh God, I need y'all to be better than this. Like, please don't hurt the Willow. That was my mind. Don't hurt the Willow. So picture in picture, Moxley and Shafir are double teaming Swerve. When we get back picture in picture, Willow is back into the what you call it, into the fight. I love this spot where Throughout the whole match, Moxley is tempting us as he's gonna hurt Willow. One of the first times he was gonna put her in the paradigm shift. I'm gonna call it that. No, yeah, that's what I'm gonna call it. And so Swerve grabs Marina and he's gonna do a death valley driver. And so he's holding Marina and I love Marina in this part. She's like, do it, don't forget. I'm like, hey, Marina said do it. Nah, Moxie wants to be a good guy. And he shoves Willow. I'm like, come on. Like listen. If we're going to an intergender match, the whole protect women thing can't be that big of a story. That's just me. We're all in this together. It's a tornado match at that. So I love that little stare down. And then I love,
not to interrupt, but you're right, because to me that moment felt, for me, that's a perfect microcosm of the sexism still in wrestling in general. Because, like, if that had been Wheeler Yuta in that spot, Moxley never would have what he was doing. He would have dumped the guy on his head and just moved on, right? He wouldn't. But because it's Marina Shafir, the guy has to still protect her. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, but I love Marina. She's like, do it. I don't care. Do it. Like, I'm a soldier. I love Marina. She got her little MMA stuff going on. It was a beautiful flip over, a flip, like she used her foot to do a flip backdrop to Will. That was beautiful. And then you had Moxley choking out Swerve, and Willow was being in a triangle from a triangle from Marina, but she's on the top rope, and then Will just powerbombs Marina to break the hold from on Moxley on Swerve. That was beautiful. And then I'm trying to think how lead ups to it. So Marina and Willow are outside the ring, and Moxley and Swerve are going both for bow, right? And of course, Moxley in true form is biting, but Swerve is just being dangerous. And so Swerve gets them. He's going to do a house call. Marina pushes Moxley and takes the house call to the face. And sweet baby Jesus, like, baby girl, are you okay? And of course, Swerve, being the healer he is just smiling like, oops. Oh, you're so stupid. And this is why I call in the cameras work, right? Because unfortunately, the camera missed when Willow yeeted Moxley into the table. Like, you see the table on the outside. You can't tell me you don't see Moxley's on the ring apron. So it's like, bigger screen. You can tell it's supposed to come. Move the camera so he can see it, right? Like, you missed it, you punk. Either way, after that, Swerve and Willow are hyped. Swerve is telling Willow, finish. She's like, right, fine, I got this. Power bomb to Marina. 1, 2, 3. Swerve, and Willow gets the win with Willow doing the 1, 2, 3. I love that for her because we are Willow fans over here, and that was beautiful. They're getting all high, like, oh snap, we won. I love Swerve is hugging her, and then you're like, hey girl, you did it. Swerve is on the top rope. Willow's celebrating. Blah, blah, blah. Moxley is back to back, and he's like, yeah, bam, and hits her with the driver. It's like, nose for a nose. My girl went down. You got to go down. And so Swerve's in shock. He tries to run Moxley off, but Moxley and Marina are already into the crowd. The doctors come in, and it's like a hush over, like a hush, like, oh, is she okay? And so, and that's the end of the match. I enjoyed this thoroughly. Yes, there are some sloppy spots, but it's a tornado tag team match. I'm not sure what you expected. This is definitely not going to be neat, clean, and dry. I feel like everyone came out wonderfully. Your thoughts?
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I still want a little bit more from Marina. I think she could still give a little bit more. as
Yeah.
much as I absolutely love Willow, and I'm glad that she got the win and the pin here, she looked very strong. This was Willow definitely looked much better than Marina Shafir, which is fine. Don't get me wrong, I love Willow,
Yeah.
but if your goal is to continue to push Marina or to in some time push her in some way, she's got to be better in the wrestling ring on AEW television when it comes to the actual wrestling part, because we know what she can do. I've seen her do it in other places. So it's just a matter of, I don't know. I'm not sure where the disconnect is between her movements in the ring in AEW and other places. I don't know if they're talking to her in the back and saying, don't do this, don't do that. I don't know if it's just not getting over the same way. I don't know what it is, but I still need a little bit more from her. This was definitely her first match in a long time and probably her best AEW match in general.
Yeah.
So, me saying I want more is probably, whatever. It's, maybe my expectations are too high, but I still want a little bit more from her. I'm not 100% back on, the Moxley wagon, but it is amazing to me how just
It's
the
getting
switch
better.
from Copeland to Swerve
Yes.
has reinvigorated it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I I
Yes.
never disliked Edge and I don't dislike Adam Copeland. But there's something about Moxley and Swerve that just does it more for me than Adam Copeland and Moxley did. I think it's probably
Yes.
because I'm a huge Swerve fan. I like Swerve a lot. Even though
Mhm.
Swerve is not young, he still feels in many regards like the now and in some regards still the future. And so I like that. And you're right. It's a tornado tag match. Not only is it a tornado tag match, it's an intergender match, which is always interesting.
Mhm.
So, the sloppiness I'm fine with. I don't like it when it's too over choreographed either. Where it's like, oh yeah, they
Mhm.
spent hours backstage doing this. You can tell because everything looks, whatever. So I like it when it
Mhm.
looks kind of sloppy and more realistic, like a real fight in that regard. So I don't want botches. But I do like that feeling of human nature where it's actually a fight between two people that
Yeah.
don't know what the next one's going to actually do. Um, so no, I thought this came off really good. It was fun. Great way to open the show. Great way to give Willow the rub for being, by being with Swerve, and essentially,
Mhm.
being in the men's main event storyline and picture gives her a lot of rubs. So I'm happy for that.
Yes.
Now they just need to translate that to giving her a better push on the women's side as far as titles and stuff go. So I need to
Most
see her either in
definitely.
a program with Mercedes or in a program with Tony Storm or something in the near future here. Whoever one of your two
Yes.
champions is, she needs to be in a program with one of them. So her Mercedes would be a lot of fun. I mean, I don't necessarily know how we get there from here. Like I said, you can always just be, hey, you have a title and I want it. That's always enough for me. So, when I say that, it is what it is. But yeah, I
Right.
mean, I'd be here for that for sure. I mean, they've already wrestled before, right? So didn't Mercedes beat Willow
Right.
for a title already before, or wasn't it for that North
That
American
so that
strong New Japan North America women's?
so crazy enough, the New Japan Strong Belt, they actually Willow won it at Dynasty last
Right.
year. And so Mercedes actually coming up on a year of beating Willow. It wasn't at Dynasty, it was at Revolution. It was the one no, it was after that was the one after Dynasty. There was nothing.
Yeah, I don't remember. I can never remember what shows come out to
Yeah.
mention in succession like that.
But yeah, but crazy enough, Willow did become champion at Dynasty, and then the pay-per-view after that, Mercedes beat Willow. It looks like it might be a minute though before we get a Willow match because kayfabe wise, we have the doctors in the back checking on Willow's neck, and can we get someone else besides Renee interviewing people because this is so awkward for her? You can't tell me it ain't
The
kayfabe
very
wise.
end of that match where he ended up basically giving Willow a paradigm shift, the whole thing was kind of odd. So Swerve's on the rope
Yeah,
celebrating. Willow's in the ring, and Moxley's like half stumbling around by himself, just kind of like, yeah, like all over. I was like,
right.
what the fuck is going on here? And then all of a sudden, he just like
So,
snaps it and gives her a paradigm
so
shift and
like
rolls out and disappears. I was like, oh, okay.
like so yeah, he checks with Marina.
I think the spot was supposed to be him and Willow bump backs to backs, but they weren't doing it. So he was like, "I'm just doing it." Like you said, it ain't us bumping back to back ain't happening. So I'm gonna just turn around and give you a paradox flip. But yeah, it was supposed to be, and then it's more so the camera. I think the camera, if like you can't like listen, like stop showing Moxley in the ring. Like this, focus on Swerve. Focus on Swerve before we get to spot, right? So that's more so for me. If I'm switching, I know I'm switching wrestling, and I know what's coming. It's like get the camera away from Moxley, and like, you tell, like he did a good job. Like okay, Chicken Marina getting up, and then he just paradigm shifts. Well, but no, I totally agree. The whole stumbling around and stuff was funny.
Intergender doesn't
Like I
necessarily
said,
mean. Well, I guess it does, right? I mean, I'm trying to determine. I don't really remember. Like WWE doesn't allow men and women to actually go at it. But they
yeah.
call it when you have like say Becky and Seth versus a man and a woman? Isn't that considered intergender as well?
So so going to the match. I think you're thinking about it was Becky and Seth versus big army chick versus and Baron Corbin, right? That was not a tornado
Yeah.
match. This was a tornado match, so that gives them a little more leeway. If it's a standard intergender match, the tag is men versus men, women versus women. Because of the tornado match, you didn't have that tag in aspect of men versus men, women versus women, because it's a tornado match and everything's supposed to be
Well, they're
chaotic.
still technically not supposed to like men versus women necessarily wrestle each other either, right? I mean,
So, like I said, it's a tornado
so I guess
match. It's a tornado match. So I think the rules of how it's supposed to be are out the window.
makes sense. No, I mean,
Which again, I'm here for.
I don't have a problem with it. I when I watch like GCW and they actually have men versus women, I like it. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I do still think there is a little bit in society where it's like, you know, you
Yeah,
see a woman take a DDT from a man, it's like, ooh, like, it's more than it is if it's another man to a certain
yeah.
extent. And now, like they did here, they chanted asshole, at Moxley. And to be fair, I mean, he deserved it after that. And everyone loves Willow, but like, you know,
It should have a
in
little bit.
society, there is a little bit of that. Is he an asshole for doing that too?
Mm-hmm. So, like, I totally agree with it. There is a level. There is definitely a level where it's like, all right, that's too much. This was perfect for me. This match was perfect. When we were doing the semi-birthday watch along, it was Murder Grandpa and Oscar versus two other people. That was too much. Where I'm like, hey, time out. Why are they just punching the chick in the face? They're just straight up slap boxing the women. It's like, hold up, wait, y'all. That was for me. That's my limit. That was too much. I'm like, why are y'all just beating on these women? And it just feels like that.
Buddy. All right. What was that? FTR, you started to
Right.
talk about it.
Like I said,
Renee.
backstage after the commercial break, yep, we took on Willow and what's her name? Renee, bless your heart. You know your husband, but you gotta do your job. He interviews Swerve, and Swerve is like, listen, I wouldn't agree. I agreed to this match with Willow because I thought we could handle ourselves, right? She's a boss chick and she did, but I feel so guilty about what happened. Moxley, I can't believe you did that. You know the injuries to Willow's neck, so you doing that was just that was so unnecessary. Side note, but you house calling Marina, that was all right. Wasn't no freaking ill will towards you putting your foot to Marina's face at full force, but because it's Willow and she got neck injuries, it's so egregious anyway. So Swerve is like, you know what? I'm getting my hands on you. Not that dynasty, not tomorrow, tonight. And Renee, I love her facial expression. She's like, every time y'all talk about beating up on my husband, she's like, dang, man. Dang. That's how her face said it. And so that will continue on the end of the show. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I thought it was fun for what it was. I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it.
Yeah. Like, I would have loved if they did like one more like. So, like I said, the end of the night, we see Swerve looking for Moxley. I would have loved in the middle of the show. It's like, can we get one more little snippet of Swerve hunting down Moxley? Besides, just at the end of the show, it's like it really does feel like, hey, you said you was hunting him down. What you doing? Like even someone doing an interview and you just see Swerve just walking across the interview standee with a 2x4 or something, that would have like just helped with the whole "I'm hunting you down, Moxley" thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is, Moxley's your world champion. This is now your big story, so I understand why it gets, multiple little segments. But yeah, another little segment also would have been fine too, where you see continued hunting because that's what's going on. You know,
Right.
ultimately, like I said, Swerve and Moxley being or Swerve being Moxley's next opponent has made Moxley a little more interesting for me. So, so
Mm-hmm.
far this is working. We'll see, how it needs to play out, but right
Yes,
now it's working for me. So
agreed. All right, and then we have an FTR segment on Collision. Dax was facing Yuta, and Yuta got the 1-2-3 on Dax. Crazy enough, Dax went back crack crazy on the ref, put his hands on him, and of course, Cash trying to calm him down, but he pushes Cash, and then Cash gets up like, "Hey, bro, I'm tired of you pushing me." And he just push him back, and then he leaves. Following now on Dynamite, he gives the fine to the ref again in his "I'm sorry, I don't let me lose my endorsement voice. Listen, I'm sorry, I lost my cool, that's on me. I want to personally give the check to the ref. Here you go, buy something, buy take your wife on a nice dinner, buy something for you. Again, I apologize, I'm sorry." Dax, are we cool? I mean, sorry, Cash, are we cool? Are we cool? And Cash is with his arms folded. He's like, "Listen, Dynasty comes around, we're brothers. Dynasty comes around, we're gonna get the job done. But after Dynasty, we're gonna talk." And Dax is like, and he didn't say anything, but his whole body expression was like, "Come on, man, I said I'm sorry." This is hilarious. I actually love Dax being sarcastically apologetic. Even like, that's what it feels like. It feels like he's sarcastic with it, but he's like, "I gotta do it to make sure everything is cool." Any thoughts on this segment?
I thought the segment, I like it. I'm not sure where I think it's ultimately going. Are we going to a split up between
Right.
FTR? That would be very weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are guys that are tag team wrestlers. There are guys that are singles wrestlers. There are guys that come together to as singles wrestlers that are tag team guys. For me, FTR is a tag team. I don't know. I mean, Dax was
Yes.
okay when Cash was out for a little bit by himself. Their sweet spot is a tag team. That when they're together, they're and going right. They're one of the best tag teams, in the world. Singles, I don't care about either of them as far as singles competitors, especially not Cash Wheeler. He does nothing for me. Dax, maybe a little bit. He's got what the little bit of personality FTR has is all Dax, really, when it comes down to it. So Dax
Yes.
might be okay.
Yes.
He could survive, but I'm not really interested in Dax as a singles wrestler. So if you're thinking about breaking up
Yep.
FTR, who you haven't done anything with to begin with and have underutilized terribly already for the most part, especially over
This
the last
year.
year or
This year.
two, especially, then I'm not here for that. And if that's not what we're doing, then what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense to me. So in that regard, I mean, it feels like the natural progression here is that Cash ends up making some sort of decision between Adam and Dax, and that's really weird. I mean, that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me. I don't, for what purpose? Then what? We have Adam and Cash as a tag team? We get Cash versus Dax? I'm not interested in. I mean, Adam hasn't necessarily done anything
Like,
to Dax, so I mean, unless Dax does something to like attack Adam or Cash. I mean, you have to do something to piss Adam off. He hasn't done really that yet, per se. So, like, there's no, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. So, in that regard, I'm confused. That being said, I thought it was fine. I mean, Dax and Cash are fun. The segment with the ref was fun. Dax's attitude is great. Cash's attitude is right. Kayfabe wise, I just don't understand what we're doing.
yeah. after Dynasty, there's definitely going to be a decision. In my heart of hearts, yeah, FTR is going to stay together. Everyone, and they're going to turn on Adam Copeland. I truly believe that's what's going to happen, and then we'll just get Adam Copeland versus FTR. Not really sure how everyone says. Hey, and Christian is like, I don't want Christian to be heel. I mean, I don't want Christian not to be a heel. So I'm not sure how that works, but I wouldn't be mad at that. I think that would be a sweet spot for Copeland to face FTR in some kind of capacity. I think that's where we're going.
Well, if that's where we're going.
And if
That's where we're going, then it's got to be Edge and Christian, right? It's got to be Christian in some capacity to come help Edge against or Adam Copeland against FTR. I mean, otherwise, if you really pair him with someone else and we don't ever get Edge and Christian again, then you really missed the boat, right? I mean, I can see you pairing him with somebody else
it's
in the
like,
meantime if you're ultimately still getting to Edge and Christian. But if this is it and there is no Edge and Christian at some point, like that's not really even on your radar, and you pair him with somebody else for a tag team feud against FTR, you've really missed the boat, in my opinion. I don't care who it is.
no, yeah, no, I totally agree. It's like because it feels like even though they don't have in mind a TLC match 3, it feels like we were tiptoeing around. Y'all, like, listen, y'all all went your separate ways and became decent singles people. But if y'all are going to retire, it should be some kind of variation of Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys versus the Dudleys. I'm not. It don't have to be a triple threat, but one of y'all teams have to retire the other team. It feels only right, right? It feels only right if y'all retire each other. Please do that before all of y'all, before something happens, and that can't happen. And we got a Hardy Boys healthy, and we got Edge and Christian healthy. Like, please do this sooner than later.
I mean, I think, obviously we have, Matt is what he is, Jeff is what he is. I think the issue is Devon. I think Devon's not cleared. I don't think he can wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's what I heard.
Now,
Because I know they talked about doing a Dudley Boys reunion before, and I know that he came out and did like a what's up, but I think that they were talking about how he's really not cleared to wrestle like that. Like he can't. I don't know if he's not clear or just won't, but like he's not, I think maybe Bubba Ray said something.
Right.
I heard it somewhere in an interview with somebody or something that he's not.
No, I heard
so
too.
I don't know. Maybe that's the one thing keeping it from happening. Bubba would do it. I'm sure the Hardy Boys would do it, and I'm sure Edge and Christian would do it. So, I don't know.
Like I said, I don't need triple threat. I just need for y'all to eliminate each other. Like even if like the Dudley special guest referee. Like, all right, close enough.
Would you
close
be
enough.
okay? Would you
That's
be
perfect.
okay with Spike Dudley and Devon at ringside? Spike and Bubba versus Devon at ringside. Like it's not quite the same.
No,
It's not quite the same, but
yeah. Just let the Dudley Boys be the special guest referee against Edge and Christian and Hardy. I think that's perfectly that's fine. I'm cool with that.
I mean, the thing is, if you're gonna do that, you better do it real soon because these guys are getting real long in the tooth, right? and it's one thing to do the kind of matches that the Hardy Boys are doing now. It's another thing to do a TLC match at this point, right? Like, so in that regard, or it's another thing to do what Edge and Christian are doing, or what Christian and Cope are doing, independently in AEW or separately in AEW, as opposed to getting up on a ladder and doing. I mean, to be fair, Christian was just in a ladder match not too long ago, but it's a lot, I think. So I don't know. My guess is probably we won't ever see that again, but we could definitely see Edge and Copeland or Christian and Copeland versus FTR. That would be fun. I mean, I don't, that would be fun.
It would.
So
no, yeah, I totally agree.
What was next?
All right, and so we actually have the brackets for the Owen Cup, the men's and the women's. So let me go back real quick to actually see what the actual
I got it right here if you want me to.
Brackets were. Oh yeah. Side note before you start, freaking Jay White is not going to be in it. Kayfabe, they announced before the first match that the Death Riders attacked him, but he won't be in the Owen Hart Cup. In real life, no, like, hey, boys and girls who want to keep kayfabe, move to the right. What happened? What, like, and he had a match of collision. So it wasn't like this had to be just now, and it's like that sucks. Out of everyone in the men's on the men's side, I was looking forward to Jay White, and that sucks so freaking hard that he's not going to be in it. So I'm very much so But yeah, if you have them,
I
go
do.
ahead.
So for the men, we got Will Ospreay, Kevin Knight, Brody King,
He took the place of Jay White.
Brody King versus Takeshita, Mark Briscoe versus
Nice.
Kyle Fletcher, and Hangman Page versus a wild card. So
If it's Jeff Jarrett, I'm gonna punch somebody in the
it better
throat.
not be Jeff Jarrett. It better not be Jeff Jarrett.
Please, come on now.
And for the women,
Come
it's
on now.
Jamie Hayter and versus Billy Starks, Thunder Rosa versus Chris Statlander, Julia Hart versus Mercedes Moné, and Harley Cameron versus Athena.
So, for the people who don't watch Collision, I'm gonna say it. Please watch Collision, because on Collision we had Mercedes Moné versus Robin Renegade. Of course, Mercedes beats her. They get on the mic, and this is when Mercedes announces that she's gonna be in the Owen Hart Cup. And she was like, "Give it up, but give it up for Robin, right? She's so great. She's way better than Billy Stark. I mean, oh my gosh, who trained her? Whoever trained her sucks." And here comes the fallen goddess Athena. We finally get the face off we've all been waiting to see. I love it. Athena pops Mercedes in the mouth. She was going for the old face, but Robin actually pushed Mercedes out the way, and she takes it. And Athena's like, "Oops." And backstage segment, Athena announced that she's going to be in the Women's On Her Cup 2. Side note, it's like, why didn't y'all show a recap of this? Real life. You showed a recap of Tony and Penelope for their match. Why did you not show a recap of this moment? This moment was important enough to show a recap. I was so mad at that, bro. But
No,
continue.
I agree. No, this is the brackets are interesting. I do find it interesting that Mercedes and Athena are on the same side. They're going to meet in the semifinals if they both win, as opposed to the finals, which I thought was kind of interesting. So, yeah,
I don't hate it. It makes it more unpredictable. If they're on different sides, it's like, oh, that's the finals. So at least with that, it's more interesting. Like, oh snap, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not where we go. All predict what's going to happen.
Yeah. And a couple of these things aren't quite like the other when it comes to both of them, really. I love Kevin Knight. Like, he's barely, he's really on ROH. He's barely on AEW TV ever. And even then, very few people are familiar with him. So that was a little interesting to me. I don't know who the wild card's going to be, depending on who it is. I'm okay with it. Like you said, if it's Jeff Jarrett, I'm extremely disappointed. If it's somebody else, and I don't know who else that would be, I'll have to judge it by, depending on who it actually is. But, so it could be good or bad, the women's bracket. I like Billy Starks, but I don't know that I guess the Owen Hart Cup is kind of mid cardish. I want to say that, and at the same time, Britt Baker won it, and we have main event women wrestling in this, in this Owen Hart Cup for it, and Thunder Rosa and Jimmy Hayter and Mercedes May. So, I'm going to say it, Athena, even though she hasn't been on AEW TV like that. She's now the longest reigning women's ROH champion of all time. So, it's interesting to me that, I guess you have to have some people to take losses, but it feels like Billy Starks or Harley Cameron are definitely a little over their head. I love Harley Cameron, so I'm glad that she's getting the spot, but they feel a little over their heads, maybe out of their, comfort zone here a little bit, or out of their booking zone a little bit. So, but no, I think overall it should be good. I'm very interested in Brody King versus Takeshita. Briscoe versus Kyle Fletcher should be a lot of fun. Ospreay is going to get the win over Kevin Knight, I'm sure. And anytime Ospreay's in anything, I can't imagine that he doesn't win. So my instincts are Ospreay probably ends up being your next Owen Hart champion, or Owen Hart Cup winner. But we'll have to see. Again, we don't know who the wild card is, and if it's him versus Kyle Fletcher again, that will be very interesting because they've killed it a few times already, and definitely here for that. I'm glad to see Jamie Hayter back. It sounds like she was back, and then she seemed to disappear again, and now she seems to be coming back again. So I don't know. So no, I'm here for it. The Thunder Rosa versus Chris Statlander should be fun. Not Julia Hart fan. I assume Mercedes probably gets that win there. I mean, obviously the goal is Mercedes versus Athena on that side. So that means Mercedes has to beat Julia and Athena has to beat Harley, and then we'll go from there. So but
Yeah.
Harley Cameron for me right now is probably not my favorite women's wrestler and definitely not the best, but she's the one at the moment that I find myself enjoying the most when she's on camera at the moment. She's
Entertaining.
extremely entertaining, for sure, for sure. I really like
Yeah.
watching her.
Yeah.
She's a lot of
No.
fun. So
No, I definitely love her. I kind of agree with you on all of this. It's more so I think people have a different mindset, right? I think people are still thinking that all in is in London. No, it's in Texas. So, with that being in mind, the Brits can't win this one. No offense, because the winner of this goes to All In and face the World Heavyweight Championship on both sides. So it's like, no, one of the Brits can't win. One of the Brits can't win. So either Hangman or Athena, who's from Texas, should win one of these tournaments. I said it. We've been talking about all this jaw jacking about All In's in London. We need to see Ospreay and Hayter. So the All In is in Texas. I want to see either Athena or Hangman win this tournament.
at this point, Iron needs something big, probably. So again, either he either has to beat Osprey at some point to get it. If they bump heads, we'll see how that works out. But I, you know, I have a hard time picturing Osprey ever losing, and at the same time, this is a perfect vehicle for Hangman to get a big win here and to have another moment, right? So, I'm torn. My guess is that it's probably one of those two on the men's side, either Osprey or Hangman, and probably more likely Hangman. So I'm good with that. So
No, yeah, 100%. I do agree. All right, and so next up, one moment here. Do, 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 do. Yep. So like I said, so next week to hype up the Owen Cup, we're gonna have a tag team match of Athena and Julia Hart versus Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron. And so we have a backstage interview with Renee and Mercedes Moné talking about this. And here comes no other than Minnie Monet being ventriloquized by Harley Cameron. Them being a tag team is going to be so freaking entertaining. And then they're I'm trying to think of what they call their tag team. Their tag team is the Ralph of Monet Train, something like that. I don't
yeah,
One moment here. Do you know what it is?
I don't remember what it is. The Money Wrath Train.
Yes. And so listen. If we just getting a tag team, we're just getting Harley and Mercedes tag teaming. That's just fun in and of itself. Point blank. Period. I am so looking forward to next week. That's gonna be hilarious. Any
No, I mean,
thoughts?
I'm happy to see that they're still letting Harley Cameron kind of orbit Mercedes Moné. And I
Mhm.
don't think that she should be probably beating Mercedes, but orbiting Mercedes is fine. I like Harley a lot. She's extremely funny. She's right now, like I said, she's probably the most entertaining woman when she's on TV, other than Tony Storm. Her and Tony Storm are the two women I enjoy watching the most
Yeah.
as far as entertainment value goes. So, and I love the little puppet is great. I love the trolling of Mercedes Moné by Harley Cameron, and classic wrestling. What can they coexist? So we'll see.
Yeah. I would definitely say Mercedes' reign, her versus Harley, probably the most entertaining part of her
Yes.
reign. She had some great matches, but entertaining wise, it was probably her versus Harley. I'm glad they're kind of running back a little bit. All right. And this now we have Penelope Ford versus timeless Tony Storm. Penelope Ford had been kind of acting as Megan Bane's valet a little bit on Collision. Tony was giving a promo, and out of nowhere, Penelope just kicked the crap out of her. That shot was delicious. Like that shot was delicious. How they positioned it, right? So Tony Storm's getting her lick back. The bell rings and it's off to the races. Tony Storm is just giving her chest chops to the gods. Millie Ford holding her own. I love it was a moonsault dive off the ring apron. That was great. But all in all, it's time as Tony Storm. So she got so of course she's gonna win. And then here comes Megan Bain come out in with her beautiful little onesie or her little leotard and her little crown of goddesses. And she's a stare down between Tony Storm that is coming Saturday. Effective little way to hype up their match of Dynasty. Any thoughts?
I mean, Tony Storm is great. I'm always happy to see Tony Storm. Um, her and Megan Bain should be fun. Penelope Ford is kind of,
Mhm.
I'm hit or miss on Penelope Ford. I think she's been better in the ring since she's come back this time. So in that
Mhm.
regard, I don't necessarily have anything negative to say about her in the ring. She just doesn't move the needle for me. I just don't really care about what she's doing. Um, so in that regard, it is what it is. But no, and obviously this is more of a vehicle for Tony Storm to get the win and then to push the match with Megan Bain. I thought Megan Bain looked really cool with the little crown or whatever she had on her head. It made her look very statuesque.
Yeah.
No, I'm here for this match. This match should be fun. I don't know about the name Megasis, but okay, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That hey, I think that's a Tonyism that hey, let her just rock with it.
So
And then we have a in ring segment with the Hurt Syndicate. We hurt people. We hurt people. But here comes MJF. So we thought this. We weren't really sure how they left things the last segment, but MJF comes in. He was like, hey, listen. Let's talk a little bit. Now y'all don't know me, but Montavis Porter knows me. We go back. We go a long ways back. Shelton Benjamin couldn't be here. Travel issues. Sweet baby, I need the weather to change. He wasn't needed in this segment, but it was like we do miss you. So and then and it just like we miss you. I miss you, buddy. I'll see you next show. I was like. And so MJF is pleading his case. He's like, listen, Montel knows what I'm here for. I believe and I know all about you, Bob. It's like, sir, can you please stop calling people these nicknames that they did not agree to? Like, listen here, Bob. I know you. You are a heavyweight champion. Now, if you would just allow me to team up with you, we can do some business. And then Bobby Lashley comes has the mic and he's like, listen, I'm gonna just tell you straight to your face. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't like you being with our group. It's never gonna happen, but it's gonna happen, isn't it? We kind of know it's gonna happen. Any thoughts on this segment?
I yes and no. I mean, Bobby Lashley is for me. Bobby Lashley has always been a little overrated. I like Bobby, but for me, he's a little overrated. I
Okay.
don't. He's definitely not the greatest talker, which is why he needs an MVP. And
Yeah.
that's fine. You don't have to be. And the thing that Bobby really has for him is he looks the part, right? I mean, he's solid in the ring. His
Yeah.
movement isn't great. He doesn't have the greatest move set, the widest variety. The Hurt Lock is pretty cool. That the full Nelson looks really cool, and he
Right.
looks the part. So in that regard, it's fine. I, you know, I, I'm not the biggest Bobby Lashley guy. I'm a huge MVP guy. It always felt to me like the
Mm,
Hurt Syndicate kind of had a little bit of a hierarchy, and MVP was maybe a little at the top. And now it's clear that,
yeah.
that's either Bobby has a problem with that, or he doesn't want it that way anymore, or that it's not that way, that maybe it is really more just kind of a tribunal of people, because Bobby definitely doesn't have an issue throwing his weight around and kind of, overruling MJF or MVP. So, in that regard, it's fine. Like you said, we'll ultimately probably get MJF with the business or Hurt Syndicate in some way, shape, or form. Don't know what that's ultimately going to look like. I'm trying to
Right.
decide if I want Lashley versus MJF. I don't know. At the moment, that doesn't necessarily move the needle for me per se, but if they do it right, it could be, MJF is a great talker, so calling him Bob is fun. Unfortunately, when you put a guy like Bobby Lashley, who is either not the greatest talker or maybe doesn't like doing it the most, is a quiet, stoic character at minimum, who doesn't talk a lot, that's part of his character, kayfabe-wise at least, against a guy that runs his mouth a lot and is maybe the premier talker and wrestling at the moment, or arguably, it does expose you as being even a worse talker or less, whatever. So in that regard, I think it exposes Bobby even more. So I don't necessarily need to see him come and get, dog walked by MJF every single week in a feud, because that's what would happen. I guess MVP could try to protect him and do most of the talking, but MVP's not in the feud. So, it is what it is. But no, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'm here to let it play out, I guess. I'm here to let it play out.
Yes. Yep, totally agree with you. So, and just like, think about it. He leaves the ring. Her syndicate is about to leave the ring. And while they're going up the ramp, we have the learning tree crossing paths with them. I believe it was Big Bill putting a seat down on the ramp. Say, hey, sit a minute. Watch the match. And I think it was either Bobby or MVP like, get a chair away from me. We'll still stand, but don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. So Big Bill and Brian Keith squash these local people, this local talent, real quick, fast, in a hurry. And what's the word? So after they win, Big Bill keeps on the mic, short and sweet. I love this, short and sweet. He's like, "Listen, we just beat Date. No. And so he's like, we just beat whoever they behind is. We're gonna beat Joe. We're gonna beat Joe in that dynasty. We're gonna beat Joe. We want a tag team title shot." And it's like, no say. And so it's like MVP and Bobby's like, they got shade. I'm like, yeah. And so they go to the back. It becomes official later on. We are going to get Hurt Syndicate versus the Learning Tree for the tag titles at Dynasty. I'm not mad at it. Like I said, short and sweet. It's like, because last time you went too long, you got crushed. So I appreciate it. Any thoughts on any of this?
The only thing that I got to say is, you're right. It was short and sweet. It was better on Big Bill's part. The only thing is he needs to speed up his cadence a little bit. He still talks when he talks like he's talking to like a kid or something. Like, it's very slow. It's very methodical. I don't know if he has to do it that way to like remember all the words and on the line so he doesn't slip, but he needs to speed it up just a little bit in the cadence. But I mean, it worked out good, and I'm here for that match. Part of me kind of hopes, just because I feel like neither of them has gotten their fair due and they're both good, that Big Bill and Brian Keith can somehow squeeze out a victory for those titles. They're not going to, but somehow squeeze out a victory for those titles. But just, I absolutely love Shelton Benjamin and I love MVP. I'm Mets on Bobby Lashley. I can take him or leave him. I'm extremely happy for Shelton Benjamin that he's been able to have kind of a revamping of his career through the Hurt Syndicate and the Hurt business in WWE and now Hurt Syndicate in AEW. I'm extremely happy for that. At the same time, I want Brian Keith and Big Bill to have something. I know Big Bill was champ with Ricky Starks before, tag team champs before, but I want Brian Keith to have something, at least an opportunity at a belt to hold the belt for a little while to feel what that feels like. So, I'm torn. I mean, I think I want Big Bill and Brian Keith to get the win, but I can't imagine that they're losing or that the Hurt Syndicate is losing those titles to those guys. But it should be a fun match either way. I mean, all four guys are solid wrestlers, so it should be fun. I mean,
That's gonna be fun. It feels like the Hurt Syndicate just got them titles back, so I agree with you. They're gonna win. But it should be fun. Hopefully down the road we can see if we can revisit Big Bill and Brian Keith getting some kind of gold around their waist. I wouldn't mind that at all. I wouldn't. All right. Then we got our tag team match of the night. Yes. Of the men's, just men's. We have Lee Johnson and Blake Christian versus Ospreay and Kevin McKnight. Now Kevin McKnight made his AEW debut on Collision versus Jay White. Jay White won, but he got the rub. He's like, hey, we're gonna see more Blake. We're going to see more. Sorry. Kevin McKnight went against Jay White at Collision. Jay White won, but he got the rub. He said, "Hey, we're gonna see more Kevin McKnight sooner than later." And of course, Kevin McKnight's all elite. As we said, Jay White got jumped by the Death Rider, so Kevin McKnight took his spot. And this was a very fun match. We said this on I watched on Friday. Ospreay just loves wrestling. So it really is like with any capacity, he's gonna give 100% energy to the match. And rightfully so, right? So you start off the match. We have a little what do you call it? Blake Christian and Ospreay lock up. Blake Christian does his little swerve moves, and then Ospreay does swerve. I'm like, listen. You need not stop. Can you please stop? I was like, look, I know you're having fun, but as a person of color and rhythm, I need you to stop. That's just me personally. But I love when y'all having fun. And so Blake did a move where he drove the head down to Ospreay, but Ospreay did a poison Rana, and then he tags in Kevin McKnight, and he does, and I saw it. He does a 180 in the air frog splash of reversing his body. It did look pretty nice. It looked pretty nice. I ain't gonna hold you. And then while both of Lee Johnson and Blake Lively are outside the ring, the Ospreay McKnight like, you go, no, you go. All right, we'll go, but we'll both go. So Ospreay does a flip over the top rope, and Kevin Knight does a tope suicida, and that was beautiful. We get back to picture in picture. Blake Lively and Lee Johnson
Christian.
are in control.
You said Blake Lively, Blake Christian.
Listen. When I was writing this, I'm saying I can't do that. I can't. I'm like, listen, it's so close together. I don't care. Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. See, that's why Lee and Blake. I'm not so close. They're Blake Lively. Whatever. They're in control, but McKnight does a hot tag to Ospreay. Ospreay goes butt crack crazy wild. We get some very nice tag team action from Ospreay and McKnight. And overall, McKnight gets the 1, 2, 3 and good match. But then they put the graphic of the brackets on the screen. It's like, hey, this was fun. This was a very fun tag team. But sooner than later, we're in this tournament. We gotta go against each other. All right, straight. Very fun match. What are your thoughts?
I don't want to correct you again, but it's Kevin Knight, not McKnight. But either way, Kevin Knight. No,
you know what?
No, I
literally got McKnight.
You said it right several times, and then you said Knight a couple times and McKnight a couple times. So, but no, it's Kevin Knight is an independent wrestler that's trying to is now getting a chance. He's all elite, so that's great. I'm happy to see Will Ospreay in a match with 4 guys that are really kind of his style of wrestler. He's adapted his style. More of his style when he first started wrestling, then kind of over the years he's become kind of more of a striker, kind of mat-based wrestler than he was when he was flying around early. But he can still do that, right? And so it's fun to see him do that. And all 4 of these guys are definitely high flyers, fast-paced. This was all in third gear. We talk about the AEW tag team division being down and needing to be reheated up. And I know that these are kind of 2 Frankenstein teams, really, ultimately, but if the Young Bucks aren't around, the Lucha Brothers aren't around, this isn't terrible for the tag team division. This is a lot of fun. I mean, Kevin Knight and Ospreay as a tag team is fun. I really like Blake Christian and Lee Johnson together as a tag team. They're all 4 solid wrestlers, and could do very good work as tag teams in a tag team division. So if you want the tag team division, you want to reheat them up and bring in some new guys to be in the tag team division, as long as they're quality like this, I'm here for that. So like you said, a great match. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Will Ospreay is like the antithesis of Okada for me, right? Because he just looks like he's happy to be there. Anytime I can wrestle, that's just where I'm the most happiest. And so I love that I just enjoy that. It makes me enjoy it that much.
Me too.
More, so, nope, loved it all. Thought it was a great segment.
Yep. So. Nope, totally agree with you. Okay, and so next we have the Ops which is Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata, are backstage. Hook says, no, Joe says to the Shibata who has the camera right there. All right, that's perfect. Come on, come around. And so basically, cutting it short and sweet for me is like, listen, we are the ops. We never stay lacking. And we will be here at Dynasty, and we're gonna watch the show. In so many words, like, I wish he would have just said, this was a great promo, right? Because it's Joe. Come on, but I wish he would cut to the chase. We know why you gonna be a Dynasty. I don't know why you making this a surprise. You gonna go see the trios match between Rated FTR versus the Death Riders, and whoever win, you face it. It's like I'm not sure why they're trying to make it a surprise, but like we know you're gonna be here. But it was a great promo. I can't wait for when they actually do that, because that's gonna be so much freaking fun.
I
Any
mean,
thoughts?
just that I love Samoa Joe, and that I think it's great for both Hook to learn from both Shibata and Joe, and for Shibata, who's a guy that has a reputation, but has not had the easiest. Um, it's been a little bit of an uphill battle since being in AEW. I don't know. He's been kind of on and off TV. He's been hit or miss. I don't know if it's been travel stuff. I don't know if he hasn't been around the whole time. I don't know if he's had other injuries. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
But him being back and getting the rub from being with a guy who stateside is so over like Samoa Joe definitely helps him. Shibata's reputation precedes him, so he doesn't need him like in that regard. But it just helps him being with someone who is so successful and so popular stateside, and it allows him to just kind of do what he does and not have to stand on his own in the States per se and deal with some of the issues that come along with being, a Japanese wrestler in the United States that maybe doesn't have a lot of experience with the United States per se. So, I love this
Yeah.
group together. I'm interested to see them do something, and I'm assuming that them being trios champion is not in the distant future. So,
Yes. All right. And then we have Brody King versus Lance Archer. So it's gonna be Brody versus Takeshita in the first round of the Owen Hart Cup. So Lance Archer, also being part of the Don Callis family, is here to soften Brody up a bit for Takeshita. This was again meat, big mini men slapping meat. I loved it. I love Brody in this. Like he was so many freaking strikes, so many big men leaving their feet for power for cannonballs. It was beautiful. Brody King gets the win. I'm not like I need a time frame on when you're going to officially push Brody. Like no offense, but I'm like I need a time frame. Like for him, it feels like it's been too long, and all y'all are saying, "Oh, because now Malachi left, he should be pushed." I don't trust that. I don't trust that on one little bit, and so I need some evidence. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And Marshall Lynch Archer too. Like I'm not sure what the disconnect is between big men and AEW, but it feels like you have some very, very good big man wrestlers. Well, they should be winning way more titles than they are. Like it feels like the only person who got a title who was a big man was what's his name? Rusev. And it was actually a good, there we go. Let me preface it. A good title reign. Where it was actually okay. That title reign was perfect with the TNT title. That was perfect. You tried with Wardlow. That was a hit and miss. And Joe is Joe. Like no offense, you really didn't make him. Joe is Joe, so you really didn't have to do anything about his reign. So yeah, I want more things for Brody, and hopefully you give us that. Any thoughts on the match?
I would love to see Brody King somehow win the Owen Cup. I don't think that's probably going to happen, but that would be great. I think that'd be a huge spot to
Yeah.
really give him a push. And that seems to be, they don't seem to want to give him a push in the main event segment. So do it there. That would be fine. This was great. I love this here. Brody King needed the win, and he got it. He's taken a few losses recently, so he needed this here. Lance Archer, is great. They two big men that can do a lot of stuff for their size. So the chemistry was fun. The match is great. You say you said something about Brody King not getting enough, and I would say he hasn't gotten anything really, I mean, I guess House of Black, they won some matches and they were trios champions at one point, right? But like even then, it wasn't anything. It was always about Malachi Black and never about Brody or Buddy. And other than that, I mean, Brody hasn't done anything and he hasn't been given anything really. So, and he's taken some losses. So, if they this win here over Lance Archer, potentially a good showing in the Owen Cup, maybe even a win somehow if they decide to do that, would go a long way to definitely pushing him, which is what they should be doing. I mean, the dude is a beast. He's does amazing things for a guy his size. He's got the look. He can talk. He can, he's got all the tools. So another one of those guys. I'm not sure where the disconnect is and why he doesn't get more than he does. But yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, the win here is great. I'd love to see him either have at least a solid run. I mean, it's a win. It's a single elimination, and there's only 5 people or 4 people in each side. So you only get 2 chances, and you're in the finals, right? 2 matches in the finals. So I say a good run. He's got if he can win one match, that would be great, right? But if he can win the whole thing, I mean, even better. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm here for it. Push Brody. And Lance can do what Lance does. I mean, I really like Lance. Again, Lance Archer with Brian Cage, the Murder Machines. Run them with Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. Run them with Osprey and I mean, if that's your tag, not necessarily Osprey, but those kind of guys, like let those guys be your tag team division. If you don't have the Lucha Brothers and you don't have the Young Bucks around at the moment, and that's fine. Let FTR wrestle those guys if you want FTR to be involved in that title picture. I mean, all that stuff would be a lot of fun. So, yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Happy that Brody got the win.
Totally agree. All right, and then we have our main event match of Claudio versus Adam Copeland. This, I'm not gonna say surprising, but listen, Adam Copeland versus Moxley, it ended. The last match was fine, but them in this feud was hit and miss. This was a good match between Claudio and Adam Copeland, which I for me it says more to Claudio more than Adam, where it's like, listen, I know how to carry this to be a good segment. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it went less than 20 minutes, and I'm not sure who keeps telling Adam you gotta go more. Like, sir, you're in your 40s. If you keep it under 20 or close to 20, you're gonna have a decent match. Just stop trying to be a freaking person from New Japan, sir. You was born in a WWE freaking factory. I know you love other wrestling, but that's where you was born. So let's not deviate too far away from your origin story, okay? That's just me. But like I said, so great. And so yeah, so the match was great. We got a freaking the match started. Go upstairs. I'm so serious. I'm right here. We're gonna lock in. So the match was great. A whole lot of fighting outside the ring, and then Adam Copeland had flashes of 2006 and freaking speared Claudio to the floor. Well, there's no fire table, but still, it's like, sir, even though it's a padded floor, you're still spearing someone outside the ring. Any number of things could go wrong. So let's keep this at minimum, sir. Please and thank you. Claudio does a back body slam to the freaking ring apron. It's like, okay, hold up. Again, this man is in his 40s. Let's act accordingly to people's ages and where we are in the ring set of the move set. Please. Claudio, I'm just saying. Claudio was a beautiful sharpshooter, but Edge was trying to flip out of it, but Claudio transitions into a I'm gonna call it a crossface. Yeah, crossface. That was beautiful. But Adam gets to the ring ropes, beautiful, and then Adam gets the one up spear. 1, 2, 3. Adam Copeland for the win. This was very much so good, and it hypes up the match between Rated FTR versus the Death Riders. We naturally assume the Death Riders could win, but if you want to prolong the breakup of Rated FTR and let them be trios champion, I wouldn't mind that, I guess. I wouldn't mind that. But this was all in all a great match, a great main event. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought this match was much better than the Copeland Moxley match, honestly. Um, I don't know that Claudio is that dude. So, him and Moxley, I'm not going to say one is better than the other, but in this situation, I thought he had a better match with Copeland than Moxley did either time. So, I liked it. I would have preferred Claudio got the win. I understand, I guess, probably why Cope does get the win, but I would prefer Claudio to get the win here. I don't necessarily need to see Cope in the main event anymore. I kind of need to see him, take a step back maybe and be more not mid card in his booking, but mid card on the cards that he's wrestling on. Like I don't need to see him in the main event segments per se. The match I thought was really, really good. Claudio again is that guy, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I mean, I would have rather seen Claudio get the win, but I was very happy with the way the match came out. And you're right, Adam Copeland doesn't need to be wrestling 20 minutes. I mean, 10 minutes is fine. Like you don't have to do as long as it's a solid 10 minutes or 12 minutes, that's fine. It doesn't have to be 17 or 18 or 20. So
Yes, agree with all of that. And now that was the main event match. This is the main event segment. So we finally see Swerve. Well, so Swerve comes out of the room with Willow. Renee is like, "Can we get any update on Willow?" And Swerve is like, "Listen, now's not the time. I'm trying to find your husband." It's like, man, I'm just doing my job, bro. Just say you gotta go do something. You gotta go. You gotta be specific. "Hey, I'm trying to find your husband." I know he's being the douche right now. Just go and do your business, sir. Oh, that's all I'm saying. But then, so he comes. So you can see Prince Nana trying to talk him out of it. Like, stop being like basically. Prince Nana's like, stop making it personal. But it's like, hey, bruh, I'm already on a mission. And then he crossed paths in the hall with Hangman Adam Page, and of course they're jaw jacking. I guess someone saw it, and the ref was like, ah. So a bunch of refs and security came in like, it ain't happening. And so they're just yelling at each other. And so Swerve was like, you need to let this go, bro. Let us go. He's like. Heyman's like, I made my word. I said you'll never be champion, and I mean it. He's like, let this go, bro. Like, why? You broke into my house. I want to do this perfectly. Hangman, why should I? You broke into my house. Swerve, you brought my child's house down. Hangman, you deserve it. Swerve, I know. Wait. And a hush went over Jerusalem. And so Hangman's like, let me go. And he's like, he gets close up to Swerve. Hey, say that again? I know. And Hangman's just in a freaking tizzy. His emotions all over the freaking place. He just storms away. And it's just like, here's my heart. Take it. Just take it with the emotional foolishness. Listen, this was perfect for me because when it comes to Hangman and Swerve, I don't need a kumbaya moment with them, right? I still want to be on site, but we're both baby faces, so it should be an understanding. It's like not even like so it's like no apology, just saying I know where you tell me you deserved it, and you just saying I know, and it's just like our Hangman been on this freaking Terminator ride ever since last year because of what you did to his family, and now he's malfunctioning because it's like, well, without this mission of stopping Swerve, what? How do I process this? Who am I without hating Swerve? I don't understand how you compute my emotions. I just have to leave, and this like. I loved it. It was so short but so long emotionally. What are your thoughts?
I mean, you're right. I mean, 100%. Like at first when he said I know it or I deserved it or whatever, I was like, wait a second. That wasn't the answer I was expecting. I was like, whoa, okay, like, and you're right.
Right?
And like, yeah, I mean, naturally at this point, you feel like you're being kind of gaslighted a little bit if you're at a page, right? It's like, wait a second, we're supposed to be, and now you're like, wait a second here. So yeah, I mean, I can understand why he was like, yeah, like like he malfunctioned. You could see the steam coming out of his ears, from a short short circuit in the brain. So yeah, no, I mean, in that regard, I enjoyed it. I think it's interesting to see. We'll see what ends up happening ultimately with Paige and Swerve. I think they're going to orbit each other for a long time, assuming they both stay in the company. They've been there, done that. But in a couple of years, they'll do it again. In a couple of years, do it again, type of situation. So um, I mean, all that's great.
So people are like, okay, so we got this. So it should be Swerve versus Hangman, right? It's like, no, you idiots. If they have an understanding, why would they fight each other? You crackheads. No, the play here, okay, in Anika's mind, the play should be, because like you said, I'm coping with Moxley. We took a misstep. It wasn't really clicking. This is clicking. And like you said, not sure the Young Bucks are doing right. Like they're in New Japan, but it's like, are you ever coming back? We don't have our Elite Avengers to help out AEW take it from Moxley, right? So in my brain, if we stay on this course of good storytelling, I want it to be Hangman and Swerve joining together to take down the Death Riders, more so Moxley. I think that's where we should go with it. I think that would be so great. And like you said, Swerve and Heyman, they know how to drive a good story, keep us interested. So I think that should be the next step. That would be very tasty in my opinion. All right. So, like you said, Hangman walks away. Moxley gets back on his course to find. Oh, sorry. Swerve gets back on his course to find Moxley, but Moxley and the Death Riders find Swerve first. They attack him. They what you call it? They push him into this glass cart in the hallway, and that was foolishness. They drag him through the crowd, and they beat him up in the ring. And Marina Shafir gets just a bucket. I don't know where you get it from, but she got a bucket of glass. She puts the glass inside of the ring, and Claudio power bombs Swerve into the glass. The Death Riders leave the ring, like, okay, mission accomplished, and then like some freaking Freddy Jason movie, her Undertaker like freaking Swerve does a sit up and looks at Moxley like, hey, bro, you're gonna have to do more than that to put me down. Like, why are we scaring people? Why are we scaring people like this? Great visual to the lead up to Moxley versus Swerve at Dynasty. I loved all of this. My rating for AEW Dynamite this week, I'm trying to think. They really weren't any low points. There weren't anything egregious. So it's like, why I do that? I loved for me personally, I loved all the matches. And this for a go home show of Dynamite, you did what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get us hyped up for AEW Dynasty, and you definitely did that. So solid A for me. Solid A. Your thoughts? You
Yeah,
agree?
I mean, the main event segment was very solid. I like the stuff with Moxley and them at the end. I thought, Swerve, even though he takes the power bomb on the glass, the sitting up does definitely make him look like still strong. And not he's
Yes.
not just laid out like unconscious or whatever, or twitching or bouncing around crying because he's got glass in him. No, I mean he just kind of sits up and as you would be if you put someone back first in a pile of glass. If they just sat up and looked at you and was like, yeah, you'd be like, fuck that, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean,
You got it, oh boy. You got
you know
it.
what I mean? So no, I mean,
You got it.
they've done what they were supposed to do, like you said, for a go home show to hype up this match. I'm definitely all in on Moxley versus Swerve. I think it should be a lot of fun. I'll see where it goes. I really think Swerve should get the win. I really hope Swerve does get the win. Yeah, this is all three shows were really good this week. There was nothing bad this week in general. I didn't think that was egregiously bad on any of the shows. Um, and when it comes to that, as an in-ring mat wrestling person, I'm always going to tend to lead a little bit more on where the wrestling is, and the wrestling this week was slightly better, as it tends to be often in AEW. So I think I agree with you again. This sounds terrible, like we're just in lockstep, but I think this was an A show. I had this as an A show to begin with. I didn't have I didn't know exactly where I was going to come out on Raw or NXT, but I had this as an A show when I finished watching it. I thought this is an A show. So,
Mm,
um,
yeah.
and that's even without some of the big. I mean, that's without the Young Bucks. That's without other big name guys around. I mean, that's I mean, the fact that we got um, Blake Christian and Lee Johnson,
Right?
and we get to see some of these other guys. We get to see some of these other guys, the Lance Archers, the Brody Kings. Like it makes it fun for me. Yeah, I mean, they might not be like your
Yes.
top 10 or 5 best athletes. They're not your Kenny Omegas or I mean, Will Ospreay's in that match, but they're not your Will Ospreays. But you still get to see them, and they're still part of your roster, and they can all wrestle, and they're all great, and they're all fun to watch. And I like it when we get to see a little bit more variety. So in that regard, if for nothing else, it gets a little bump because of that as well too. So um, yeah, I enjoyed it. I give it an A2. So that means AEW gets the win this week. Surprisingly, we had the same grades this week, each of us, so we were in lockstep about what we thought of the shows. That being said, all 3 shows I thought
This is very
were very good.
This is very rare. Cherish it, guys. Cherish it.
Very rare. And all 3 shows were very good this week. So, and nothing egregious on any of those shows. And even SmackDown last night was very good. So, solid week
Yeah.
of wrestling in regards to that. Please join us tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our AEW Dynasty watch along. In the meantime, do a little bit of house cleaning, and then we'll get up out of here. So make sure and join us every Tuesday night for the cookout, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, when we come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. Join us on Friday nights, where it's usually Sammy, Joe, and Anika watching Friday Night SmackDown in real time, giving you their real-time opinions and reviewing the reactions. Saturday morning, which you're here with us now, it's the Winner's Circle, where we come together, myself, Sammy, Joe, and Anika, and review Raw, NXT, and Dynamite. Grade each show, and the show with the highest grade is our winner for this week, or for that week. This week it happened to be AEW Dynamite, which does seem to be a trend around here. But Dynamite's a solid show, so Dynamite does get the win this week. But it was contested this week. Both Raw and NXT were very good. The rundown, or I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Maybe she doesn't have it up here. That's the Dynasty Watch Long one. Join us for the Dynasty Watch Long tomorrow night, 5:30, 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Let's see. We'll put this up. If you scan this QR code, that will take you to Linktree, and from Linktree you can get to all of our social media. We are everywhere, all the places you see on the screen, and probably more. So we love to hear from you, love to interact with you. So please check us out on all those social media platforms. If you, yeah, well, that's all I was saying. If you scan that QR code, you can get to them from Linktree all in one place. If you want to listen to the audio version of the cookout, you can check out the audio version of the cookout on these podcast platforms that you see on the screen there. So you don't have to sit down and actually watch the cookout. You can just listen to it when you're doing whatever you're doing. So I think that basically wraps it up. Unless you got anything else to say, we'll turn out the lights and see you all tomorrow for Dynasty. Until next time, peace.